We can't go live on Twitter. Why can we not go live on Twitter?
Maybe because it's X now.
Oh, no. That's random. Anyway, hello to everybody else. I think everyone can see us on Facebook and on YouTube. I'm not entirely sure why it's not letting us do it on Twitter. It says a premium account is needed, even though we have a premium account. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin. We have, of course, Mr. Matt Turner, perhaps the happiest camper in the entire of the Stardomverse today, and we are joined by our very special guest and someone who it's funny you should say, Mr. Andy Hedder. You said that you felt like you knew me even though we'd never met. I feel the exact same way. So Andy Hedder, one half of Team Blue and Gold, it is a pleasure to finally do a podcast with you, my friend.
Yes, I feel the same way. I'm excited to be here. If you know me from the Patreon show, I've been on the Patreon many times where we do the tag match breakdown, which show is better, and just general round table. Like we just did my top 5 matches that I've seen thus far. But I'm happy to be on the main show, and congrats to you guys cracking the top 10 in the U.S. wrestling podcast, beating out Chris Jericho, Tony Schiavone, Jim Ross, Post Wrestling, which Karen. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It means a lot. It's been a bit of a wild ride. I'm not entirely sure how it happened, but it's happened, and it's hopefully onwards and upwards. Isn't that right, Matt?
Yeah, keep on going. Keep on trucking. So we just keep the foot to the gas and just keep kicking ass. But obviously, this wouldn't be possible without you, the fantastic listeners, the friends and family of the Stardom Cast. So we greatly appreciate your support. Because, like I said, I always say at the end of every episode, we are really all in this together. So it's we're just spreading the love of the wrestling companies we love so much. Not only Stardom, but the Marigold as well. So it's been fun, and this is going to be a blast for me because I have so much in common with the both of you. I mean, as you know, obviously Andy, as my tag partner, and Rob with me and you tackling the podcast for the last 3 years. And for those of you who haven't listened to me and Andy on the Stardom Cast Extra, me and Andy have so much in common, like so much between wrestling, music, comic books, movies. My joke is we are literally the same person other than the fact that Andy has long hair and tattoos, and I have short hair and no tattoos. There it is. And I really, really like Rob Zombie, and Andy thinks Rob Zombie's just okay. Other than that, we're pretty much the same person.
I do like.
If I'm going to say it's okay.
Just
where I'm going. Yes, you're right. And even like tag match or which show is better, we're kind of right on the same page and give the same ratings for the same matches. And sometimes we'll have like the same top 5, but like maybe 1 and 2 is switch. But yeah, we are basically on the same level. So.
And to be fair, like that's why you've probably got such great tag team chemistry, is the sort of unspoken agreement that you have on so many things. I am also on the fence with Rob Zombie. I like 2 songs, like I really like 2 songs, and then the rest are like, yeah, okay. Some of these are all right, but yes, it's mainly a case of I like Dragula and what's the other one? What's the other one Edge came out to?
Oh no!
Never Gonna Stop.
Never gonna stop. There you go.
How do you not like Super Beast? How do you not like Thunder Kiss 65? Supercharged Heaven. Like I know that's White Zombie, but hey, it's the same difference. That's
I love the fact that you just thought if I name enough songs, he's going to say he likes them to shut me up.
I'll fish it out. I'll keep pitching. Eventually, you got to hit one. You know what I mean?
We'll turn it back to wrestling. Thunder 65 was the Eliminator's entrance music in ECW. So.
No, it wasn't. It was the Pitbulls.
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
Real Solution number 9 from Astro Creep 2000 was the Eliminator's entrance music.
Look at that. The encyclopedic knowledge of ECW.
That's all I know. That's all I got. That's all I got. I can hear my wife nodding as she's leaving the house.
Yeah.
Knowledge of ECW entrance music from 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, obviously, thank you for joining us. Hopefully, it's all working. For some strange reason, it's like I say, it's not going to Twitter. I don't know why. But we are live on YouTube and we are live on Facebook as well. Talking about the 5-Star Grand Prix finals, the tournament is over. It felt very intense with it all taking place over 3 weeks, as opposed to dragging out. I was doing some sort of research before watching today's, and you look at 2022's where it was almost 2 months, the entire tournament from start to finish, and this tournament was literally 3 weeks to the day, which is wild, but it made it a lot more interesting because you hadn't already forgotten what happened on the previous day. The fact that they got only block matches on days rather than, one block match on one day, one on another, 5 on one, 2 on a pay-per-view, which has been something of a bugbear of mine on previous tournaments. Obviously, the match quality has always been absolutely outstanding, but obviously as a whole, Andy, this will have been, I think, the first 5-star that you've watched live. What were your sort of thoughts on it, and what did you think about it as an overall tournament?
As you said, it was compacted, so it was a lot harder to keep up.
Yes.
Behind 3 days. One time I was behind by 5 or 6 days, but I did catch up. I have seen every match so far. But I like it kind of compacted because, like you said, if it's a match that happened a month ago, you're kind of like, well, who did Suzu beat? You start forgetting one spread out over the month. But I don't know. I liked it. I really enjoyed my first 5. And this really, from watching the shows and comparing which one's better and everything, this is more okay, now you're seeing these people over and over, so you really get to know people's move sets. I'm finally learning move names and everything, so I learned a lot in the span of this 5-star, and it was cool to watch someone clean sweep the 5-star, and it was really cool. And then as to keep up and write down my matches and my ratings and everything, I really like it, and brings me back to the heyday when me and Matt would review the G1 when a previous podcast we had. So it was a lot of fun, and I really like it. I mean, I'm all in for Stardom now, as Matt knows, and anyone who listens to Patreon.
Yeah, it's been intense, certainly, and if you miss a day, it is a case of, right, well, I'm not eating or sleeping tomorrow, which, again, sleep is for the weak. But obviously, Matt, this is the 3rd tournament that we have reviewed live. What have sort of been, as an overall, before we get into obviously the nitty-gritty, and there's one bit of news as well that I want to talk about as well. But what was sort of your pros, your cons of the way that President Taro Okada has booked his first 5-star in charge of Stardom?
I think he did an absolute great job. I mean, considering the fact how well the Cinderella was booked this year. And again, this is not only is it his first year, he's taking over for Rasi Ogawa, one of the best of the best. So he's got a lot of uphills. Yeah, pretty much the GOAT of the Joshi wrestling booking. So it's he's got a lot. And again, the fact, I know I've said this a dozen times, I'll say it again, the fact that not only is he booking this tournament for the first time, he got no Mina, no Mirai, no Utami, and no Julia. And yet still it was absolutely fantastic tournament. And I've seen every 5-star as it happened since 2022. 2021, I was probably right there. I was in a few days. Eventually I got caught up, and then I did the back catalog of 2017, 18, 19, 2020. I mean, I would really have to sit down and think about it. And I want to get your thoughts, partner, because I know 2021 tournament is near and dear to your heart because you wrote the book on the entire year, Living the Dream, Stardum's 10th anniversary in review. Get it on Amazon now by my good friend, Mr. Rob Goodwin. So,
okay.
I mean,
what a shill.
What a shill. And I literally have the books right here. So don't worry. I'll show them off. Don't you worry about it. But 2022 is very near and dear to my heart. 2023, last year's tournament, despite the injuries, and there was a lot of injuries, and we were robbed of a lot of great matches because of the injuries. I think this is the second best 5-star. I think other than 2022, I think that this is the second best 5-star. One of the main things that come out of this is nobody got injured. Nobody got injured because we had rest in between. There wasn't random, okay, well, Mayu's not in a 5-star match. Let's put her in a random 8-person match. There was literally a weekend where they would just wrestle one match, and then you're off that whole week to rest your body. Nobody got injured, and everybody got over. Name one wrestler that went into this tournament that didn't come out at least a little bit better. Everybody did. You look at Azumi and Starlight Kid. They didn't even make it to the semifinals, and those 2 wrestlers are insanely over. They benefit the most of this tournament. Obviously, Micah did something that nobody else in the 5-star has ever done before. Clean sweep the blocks. For some reason, Mayu Iwatani, even her, in my opinion, the greatest in-ring women's wrestler of all time, she came out of this tournament somehow better than she did going in, literally to the point where I have to put it in the conversations as far as what I like with the Masawas, the Kawatas, the Flairs, the Steamboats, as one of the greatest wrestlers, regardless of gender, ever. Because what she did in this tournament, she somehow upped her stock. I thought the booking of the tournament was great. I thought what President Okada did with roster, again, minus the 4 names I said, I can just go and just put the blocks together and it's going to be great because all these wrestlers are great. He did a lot of things different between No More Wedatai, we have hate. We turned Sayaka Kamatani heel. We took the belt off Mike. We took the red belt champion out of the tournament. And we were kind of like, a month ago, we were scratching our heads like, what the heck is going on? And then he's got 4 blocks instead of 2. So he literally is making this his Stardom. And it was fantastic. Again, nobody got hurt. Everybody got over. The tournament was great. Some of the matches were absolutely mind-blowing. And all of the blocks, we had a great semifinal. We had a great final. They made it special by making a quarterfinal night on Wednesday. I think he had an absolute home run. And again, considering the fact that he's never booked wrestling before and he has to book a 5-star for the first time, I think this was nothing but an A+ from him. And, super excited to see what he does because really there's a lot of buzz. There has not been this buzz in Stardom since that banner year they had 2 years ago in 2022. And the fact that they outdrew the last 2 or 3 years as far as drawing goes. Now, obviously, the show today was a little bit less than expected because there was a typhoon where they almost had to cancel the show, but they still managed over 2,100 people in the middle of an almost natural disaster. And I don't mean the tag team from the 90s, Andy Header, because I know that's where you're going to go when I said typhoon. So, but I thought this was nothing but an A++. And considering the fact that I can't wait to see what happens next. Considering the fact that they kind of teased their next 3 big championship matches as far as Wonder, World, and High Speed, and then they tagged they plugged the next tournament coming up, the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, which I know tag team wrestling, Andy, that's near and dear to our hearts. And considering the fact this is the best tag division Stardom's ever had, and the fact there's a tag team called Meltier that is coming in, both Tam as the red belt and 1/3 of the artist champions, and Natsupoi the Wonder and 1/3 of the artist champions. I mean, I think that writes itself if they put the Meltier in that, because they can do Sayori Poi, they can do Soriano Natsupoi, and it's still going to be great. But I think if you have your 2 big champions as a tag team going in that tournament, any team that beats them, they can get an artist shot, they can get a world shot, and they can get a wonder shot, which is going to make the tournament coming up that much better. But this was an A++, for me. But how about you, partner? To answer your own question, what did you think of the booking? And I'd like to know where this ranks for you as far as the best 5 stars you've ever seen.
I think it's definitely better than 2023. Obviously, 2023 is marred somewhat by the injury to Saya on the opening night, the fact that we lost Utami partway through the tournament, we lost Starlight Kid throughout the tournament. It was a bit of a cursed tournament, but it was still, there was still some really, really, really good matches, and obviously it made a star of Maika, it made a star of Suzu Suzuki. But I feel like this tournament, I had high hopes for it. They were dashed a little bit when Tora dropped out and was replaced by Ruwaka. No disrespect to Ruwaka meant, obviously. But I was, sort of in the same boat as you, what's going on in the back room at Stardom. And I wasn't sure, obviously, based on, for example, the G1 Climax 32, where the 4-block system was just, I hate it. But then watching it here, Stardom managed to find a way to make it work. And it's like Andy said, it became less about, right, hang on, who did Suzu Suzuki beat last time? Who has she still got? It was all very in the now, and you felt in the middle of the tournament. It was very easy to follow. I think quarterfinals and semifinals, and actually having 2 people come out of the blocks as well, gives a lot more to play for. Because if you look at Red Stars A, where Maika, spoilers, Maika goes 0-6, 6-0, throughout the tournament, beats everyone. Like, there's no point to the rest of the Red Stars A matches under ordinary circumstances. However, here you've still got that second spot to play for and that chance to go through. Hannon didn't win her block, still got through to the semi-finals. So there is that that sort of prize there for them, and I think that was really good. I love the fact that quarterfinals night was given its own night, like you say, one of the best nights of Stardom wrestling in God knows how long. Considering this was Taro Okada's first 5-star Grand Prix, I think it was a massive success. We'll talk about obviously the title change because I know that's been very divisive. Apart from with Matt, where it's just 100%. Oh my God, Tam! Oh, for God's sake!
I had this plan like 2 weeks out, brother.
Yeah, and well, you've been on the Tam train for a while, thinking that Tam is going to win, and I was like, no, of course she's not. But yeah, overall,
my water tastes better today for some reason. The air
weird,
is cleaner. That the sun is just brighter today. It's just and we're even though we're in different area codes, we're all on Tam time now, buddy. I'm so excited. I'm getting drunk after this. College football just started. I'm gonna have college football on my big TV. I'm gonna have the Dream Star from Marigold on my iPad. And I think I'm gonna have a couple beers and enjoy the Tam road that we were all on, my man. Can't wait.
Picture of Tam right next to him.
Absolutely,
it's over there. Me and Robin Tam. It's over there.
Me, Robin Tam. I've nenever felt more like a third wheel in a photo in my entire life than that photo of you and Tam.
You made it though.
You made the wall, man, with Tam. But yeah, I think overall it was an exceptionally good tournament, and I think it can only be considered a massive success. And the buzz that it has created ahead of that Number Grand Fight show on September 14th is very, very real. There's obviously a couple of drawbacks. The fact that, we now don't have a main event set for Dream Queendom, as we now know it's going to be called. That is in its own way exciting, though, because should Tam retain the belt against Micah, then spoiler for anyone that hasn't seen the final, because I've just spoiled the title change. I'm the winner. But
it says review.
Yeah, it does. It does actually. That's a very good point. Yeah, that is a very good point. You've got a lot of different ways you can go. You can do Tam and Saya, which we know they have a history. You can do Tam and Mayu. We know that they have a history. Mayu, having never lost a singles match to Tam, it makes sense for that to be the first one. Pretty much everyone in Tam's entire block has a title shot. So you can run all of them back. Yes, absolutely. Can you imagine Sayaka getting a red belt shot before Starlight Kid and Azumi? Just have a think about that for a minute. Just like, but anyway, before we get into all the nitty gritty and everything about what was a very good show from Musashino Forest Sports Plaza, just a little bit of unsubstantiated news. It was reported by One Nation Radio and retweeted around that Mina Shirakawa has apparently moved to the US. Now, we don't know if that's true. There aren't any of the, no disrespect to One Nation Radio at all, but none of, Fightful aren't reporting it. People like that aren't reporting it. So, the Wrestling Observer haven't reported anything about that. So whether it's true or not, I don't know. Ordinarily, there isn't smoke without fire. Mina has dropped out of the 5-star to be in America, which when you consider what she's actually done during the 5-star, I can't really see why she wasn't in the tournament, but that's by the by. I'll go to you first, Matt. What is your opinion on this? I feel like we've all sort of resigned ourselves to the fact that Mina will probably go to AEW at the end of her contract. That certainly is how it feels at the moment. What are your sort of thoughts on if that is true? Obviously, we don't know if that's true yet.
It's weird because, yeah, you're exactly right. When we realized they're starting to announce names of the 5-star, we're like, no, Mina. I'm like, well, she's probably going to be part of that Toni Storm, Mariah May angle. And all she did was a 30-second backstage promo. So you kind of figured she'd do a run at it all in, and all they just showed her at the Skybox sitting next to Rachel Ellering, by the way. But all she's really, I know she won the Red Pro Women's Championship. She's wrestled on a couple Rampage tapings, which we'll be covering for the Stardom cast maybe next week or the week after. And then I believe she's wrestled on Honor Club against Rachel Ellering. That's actually going to set up her feud with Tyler Valkyrie in Ring of Honor, which that's going to be really cool. But considering the fact that, okay, she's going to America, they're probably going to insert her in this Tony Mariah story because it's been great, and Mina's been a big part of that angle, and she didn't do anything. So you're like, she really missed the 5-star for this.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, you hear just yesterday, 24 hours ago, that she moved to America. And again, it's not reported by, by the Meltzer, Alvarez, none of the heavy hitters. So we don't exactly know if that's true. Not only that, but from what we understand is the contracts are due at the end of March. We still have a ways to go. So not unless she only signed a 6-month contract, not unless she said like, hey, I'm going to go back and forth. I'll just come back on the big shows. That I don't know. Or maybe they have an agreement because Tony Khan and Bryan Danielson, who have both been very adamant that they love Mina Shirakawa. She's great in the ring. Everybody loves her backstage. She's got a phenomenal presence, which is all stuff, obviously, here on the Stardom cast that we know and that our listeners know, by the way, that eventually she would probably go or do something where she maybe work half and half. But if she is working over there, when Mina does come back from time to time, because supposedly she's under a contract with Stardom, it's going to make it as a bigger deal. It'll make it as a bigger deal. And considering the fact that they did as well as they did on the 5-star Grand Prix with no Mina Shirakawa, and not only from a creative aspect and a wrestling aspect, but from a money aspect. Those houses were all full. Stardom World subscriptions are up. So that'll stink at that if she goes. But at the same time, I always say one of the many reasons why I fell in love with Stardom as fast as I did is it reminded me of Ring of Honor and ECW, because they were the little engine that could, but from time to time, the big dogs would come in. Malenko, Guerrero, they left. Obviously, Ring of Honor, Punk, Joe, Danielson, they all left for the bigger payday, because at the end of the day, it's a business and you're trying to make money. And that obviously has happened with Stardom. We saw in 2017 with Kyrie, 2018 with Io, we just saw with Julia. And now it looks like Mina is going to be the next person. So that's just what's there you go. That was what can just happen. So it's gonna be cool. It's cool to see Mina Shirakawa, and even AEW is a program that I know very much like Andy. We watch all the Collision, Rampage, Dynamite, all the pay-per-views. I watch it anyway. So it's nice to be seeing one of my favorite wrestlers from Stardom over there wrestling on a bigger stage, in front of a couple thousand people, and then like more than 500,000 people watching at home. So I think it's great for her because she'll be getting paid more money. I just wish that we can kind of get some clarification on what's going on with her contract, if she's going to be coming back from time to time, and if she is, it's going to be make it for a bigger deal. And we know that AEW and Stardom have a working relationship. So even if she is signed to AEW, say by the end of next month, I'm just using that as an example, anytime that Stardom needs to use her, they can just pick up the phone and say, hey, if you don't have anything going on with her, can we use her for this big show or this big angle? Because they have a working relationship together. Tony Khan, Teru Okada, and Tanahashi, they have it's in the working relationship's been going pretty well on all parties. So obviously, whatever she does, I wish her nothing but the best. But I would love to see her. It's unfortunate, Rob, we didn't get that big Wonder of Stardom championship run that we thought we were going to get last year. But regardless, hey, go over to AEW and hit a home run. She's already over with the crowd. So we'll see what happens.
What about you, Andy? You're obviously, as Matt said, you watch a lot of AEW TV. Mina is going to be a big star. I think we all know that Mina is going to be a big star. As Dave said, she's got fantastic live charisma. Where do you see her slotting in AEW, and what are your opinions from a Stardom point of view as well in regard to Mina leaving?
It's a little weird because they haven't announced officially that she's signed, but you think she is ever but signed with AEW. I mean, unless whatever her Stardom contract, let's say, runs out, like you said, next month, and AEW announces the next day, hey, she's signed with us. So it's a little weird because it's a gray area, but I think kind of maybe should have used her for the 5-star. I mean, like you said, she didn't do anything with Tony and Mariah except they showed her in the skybox like looking concerned. She didn't come down and even like get around the ring. So maybe they didn't want to use her because they figured, hey, if we can't have her after the 5-star, we don't want to use her in the 5-star. But then why not? Got her going to AEW TV. I mean, even if she doesn't win, she's not winning that. But I don't know why they didn't use her unless she was moving and she said, hey, look, I need time to move, and that's why she has time off. But when she comes into AEW, you'd think she has to do something with Mariah, right? I mean, if they send her to ROH, no offense, but that's a waste because who's watching ROH? She has to do something with Mariah, or else. But Mariah's a heel. Are they gonna do the same thing like they did with Tony and Mariah, where it's like, oh, here's like my assistant partner, and then eventually like she's not bad, but she's gonna turn good. Like I don't know what they're gonna do with her. I'm excited. I'm happy to see Mina on AEW, but like I think she'll still probably do Stardom too. I would like to see her in 5-star. That would be really cool, but I don't know what they're going to do with her. I mean, obviously she looks great, she wrestles great. I mean, even her English is really good. So I mean, they have a star in their hands, but AEW sometimes they like, oh, we have this person and we're gonna feature them, and now we don't know what to do. So hopefully she doesn't fall by the wayside in AEW. But I don't know. Like you think she'd have to come in and do something with Mariah.
You'd feel like that would be the case, yeah. And again, these are unsubstantiated rumors that she has moved to America. I just thought it was a really interesting topic. And I think one thing for me, if I'm to get the negatives out of the way, is that AEW have garnered themselves something of a reputation of dealing in one-sided relationships, working relationships. And if you look at the relationships with New Japan, for example, what ultimately have New Japan gotten out of the AEW relationship? AEW have gone Will Ospreay, Kazuchika Okada, and a whole heap of other stars. Tomohiro Ishii's over there at the moment, so AEW seems to have their affairs in order. But apart from obviously Takeshita came over to do the G1, which did a fantastic job, by the way. What a G1 he had, but with gaining all of this talent, you do fear that they can't see the wood for the trees. You can only push so many people, and I do worry that you're only going to be able to push 4 or 5 women at a time because you've got 2 women's titles. Obviously, as an individual, I'm ecstatic for Mina, because she gets the chance to go to America, to make money, to wrestle in front of thousands of people, to wrestle on cable TV every single week. And that's a huge opportunity for her. If I was her, I would take that opportunity as well. And again, Matt's right. We've seen it countless times. Io, Kyrie, Julia now as well. I just wonder, what are Stardom getting from this? Because obviously Mina was pulled from the 5-star. We still don't know why that was. The reason that Mina gave was that she wanted to spread the word of EXV in America and then proceeded not to wrestle. So I'm not entirely sure how that was supposed to be. Bit strange. But AEW didn't mention the 5-star once.
No.
There's been no plugging. Walker Stewart on the Capital Collision show that was last night mentioned the 5-star more during Mina Shirakawa and Hanako's tag match with Viva Van and Trish Adora, more than AEW mentioned it throughout the entirety of the tournament. In fact, I would be amazed. They don't know the names of her goddamn moves. Like it I don't have an issue. Yeah, I don't have an issue with Mina going to AEW. That's not my issue. My issue is, are we setting a precedent now that what AEW wants, AEW gets, and Stardom will, we'll chuck you a bone every now and then. We'll chuck you Willow Nightingale at the 10th hour. We'll give you Anna Jay for the 5-star, but we are going to take one of your big stars and do nothing with it. And again, obviously, these are unsubstantiated rumors. From an individual standpoint, fantastic for Mina, nothing but positives for Mina. And again, if I was her, I would do the exact same thing. However, from a Stardom point of view, I would be like, well, what are we getting? Matt, you are clearly wanting to say something.
No, I was just moving my seat. That's all. I was getting fidgety. No, you made a lot of good points, but I guess because like AEW is the big dog in this picture, that they're going to have the more leverage. They have the national TV deal.
Oh, of course,
they have the $1 billion budget, so they're going to be able to kind of demand a little bit more. But yeah, it's not as one-sided as everybody thinks it would be, because again, Takeshita, who was the big star in AEW, went over to New Japan, and it was the best 5-star they've had post-COVID. and he was everybody's clear MVP. Moxley went over there right when and he still would go over New Japan from time to time. He was a big star for AEW, and then he would still go over there from time to time. And then when they would run these American shows, there'd be some AEW wrestlers that were on there. My thing is, and we mention this every week, is you had Mercedes Moné, who's one of your biggest stars, one of your highest paid stars on your TV. She's wrestling Momo Watanabe, and not once did you mention that she is defending the New Japan Strong Championship against Stardom's Momo Watanabe. And Mercedes is walking down to the arena at every show with those two belts, the TBS Championship and the New Japan Strong. And all you had to say was, oh, by the way, this Friday in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, Mercedes Moné is taking on Stardom, our sister company, for New Japan, for the New Japan Strong Championship.
Just put graphic up.
Just
put graphic up in the corner.
Right there. It's right there. They plug all that other stuff. You have how many hours of you have 5 hours of TV. You have not only that, but put it on Twitter. Put it on your Tony Khan's tweeting all the time. Put it on the Twitter. To have Shivani have somebody put it up on Twitter. Walker Stewart did a great job on commentary on those two matches. And but the fact that just plug it. You would help out so much because you guys are the second biggest wrestling company in the world. You have a national TV deal with TBS and TNT. Yeah, just 20-second plug and put the little graphic up. If you can't do that, just tweet it out or retweet it out. Like, not asking for much. It would help out because no disrespect to any Mercedes Moné matches that she's had in AEW. They've all been pretty good, but nothing touched that Momo Watanabe match that she had.
Momo was by far the better match.
Yeah, and we knew it was going to be because, for Christ's sakes, pardon my language, it's Momo freaking Watanabe,
Exactly. If I can play devil's advocate just for a second, Takeshita's not officially signed to AEW. He's still a part of DDT. At least as far as I'm aware, he's not exclusive to AEW. So to a certain extent, I imagine Takeshita is able to just go, yeah, I'm going to do some dates with DDT if you're not going to use me. So I've said my piece about it. I think it's something to keep an eye on, certainly. I know obviously we've got Wrestle Dynasty on the 5th of January at the Tokyo Dome. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. In relation to the Moxley thing, completely agree. They sent Moxley over. Moxley is a huge international star. However, Moxley then took their top belt and only wrestled in America with it, and he didn't show up in Japan. So that's the line I feel that AEW has to sort of, right, okay, you're going to make Moxley champion. Fine, but you've got to let him wrestle in Japan then.
To drive
because
tickets.
Exactly. Because he didn't show up on any of the Road 2. Why would he show up on a Road 2 show in Shinkiba? Not that they've run Shinkiba in years, but you get my meaning. And that's what, it's all very well saying, oh, we're going to send you Camille, but she's going to win you Wonder Stardom Championship and you're not going to see it again for 3 months. Because Stardom have done that. Santana Garrett did that. She had 9 title defenses, and the only 2 matches she had in Stardom were the match that she won it and the match that she lost it. So, that's what I am concerned with. And if they were to take a belt over, and I know this is sort of snowballing into a little bit of doom mongering, and I don't want it to become that at all. But if they were to take a belt, how do we know that Stardom is going to get any sort of exposure from that, apart from the fact that it's another belt on AEW programming? Where does Mina Shirakawa get in this absolute plethora of amazing women's talent that already can't get on TV? Because you've got Mercedes Moné, you've got Willow Nightingale, you've got Britt Baker, who's just come back. You've got Toni Storm, who may well be out for a while. You've got, I don't know if I've said Mariah May, but Mariah May. There's all these women. Deonna Purrazzo, you've got Camille, Thunder Rosa, Mercedes Moné. You've got all of these huge women talent. You've got Saraya, all of that. And you've got Jamie Hayter, who's just come back as well, looking incredible. So are you telling me that Mina is going to go over and just do Rampage or do Collision? I don't know. It's a weird one. And it was something that I was a little bit concerned about when the partnership was first announced. I thought this is going to be good for Stardom's exposure. And honestly, I can't think of one thing that AEW have done. Their wrestler's been in the 5-star. Anna Jay was in the 5-star.
Not a
They
word.
have not mentioned her. It's like she was run over by a boat. She has not been mentioned.
She was kidnapped.
Yeah, exactly. So I think a partnership has to be two ways, and at the moment it does very much feel like, right, we're going to take Mina. Here's Anna Jay, who, by the way, fantastic tournament.
Absolutely.
Thought she did very, very well. But no disrespect to Anna Jay, Mina Shirakawa.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what develops. Because again, like you said, Matt, I imagine if she's on a new contract, that contract's not going to be up till March. So if you are willing to buy her out of that contract, then we'll see. I don't know.
Or give favors. Again, I have a very strong belief that on the rest of the Dream Queendom show that you're going to see a Toni Storm and or a Mercedes Moné on that show. The two of them have been very adamant they want to go back to Japan ever since both of them left WWE respectively. They want to go back to Japan to do some shots for Stardom. So Matt might be part of the deal as well. It's just like, hey, we'll end our contract early as long as we get her for these dates. But at the same time, again, and I mentioned this half a dozen times before, they're going to be over there that weekend anyway because they're on AEW's on that Wrestle Dynasty show on the 5th. So the 29th is only a week before that. So what? And you're running Sumo Hall. So and again, look what the competition. What Marigold did, they were able to get WWE to bring Io in. So now it's like, okay, we're running Sumo Hall. What do we need to do to beat that number? We have a working relationship with AEW. Hey, can you help us out with the Toni Storm? She already said she wants to do a couple shots here. Mercedes Moné, she's wrestling these Japan talents anyway. She's wrestled the Mayus. She wrestled Momo Watanabe just yesterday. She's wrestled, obviously, Azumi and Hazuki in that phenomenal three-way that they had last year.
Yeah,
so I think that's a possibility. You're going to see maybe a Mercedes and or a Toni Storm and Ryogoku Kakiken, as Mayu would say. I know that always pops you.
The greatest feud in Stardom history, Mayu versus Ryogoku Kokugikan.
The enunciation of it.
Oh, incredible. Right. Anyway, let's just get a couple of comments in. Colin says, "The fuck? Why didn't I get a notification about this? Hi guys, no idea. I apologize, Colin, but hello, pleasure to see you as always, my friend Pedro. I love you guys. Have a good stream. I love you too. But yes, we'll get on to the 5-star Grand Prix. So obviously we are coming off the back of the finals, the 31st of August 2024 in Musashino Forest Sports Plaza. And 2,108 people in attendance. Matt Turner, you think that is a success? And I must admit, I completely agree with you. I think it is a success. It is slightly down from previous finals. But when you consider there was a goddamn typhoon and the We Are Stardom account did put out that there is a chance that we might have to move it, I think still getting over 2,000 people can only be considered a success.
Yeah, when they announced literally 24 hours prior, and me and you were texting back and forth with obviously this live stream may have to be moved to, a later date depending on where they move the show, when they move the show, because they're literally having a typhoon over there in Japan. And it was kind of like checking Twitter every hour just to make sure we're still good to go. When I woke up at 2:00 this morning and I'm like, okay, am I turning on my TV or am I going back to bed? I'm like, no, I'm watching this fantastic 5-star Grand Prix final. And when the show started, I was thinking to myself, if they get 1,500 people in this building, to me, that's considered a huge success. Again, because you're in the middle of a natural disaster. When I saw the number was over 2,100 people, and it was just like it was about a couple hundred short from the previous years, but the previous years, again, didn't have a natural disaster. So I think 2,100 people tacked on to all the great numbers they did prior over this last month was an absolute success. This was definitely a huge financial success from Stardom. And again, this was genius having this all in 1 month, because you can literally just get Stardom World just for the 1 month and you get the entire 5-star Grand Prix. So I think that was very smartly done as well. And considering the fact that every single show was live streamed either on pay-per-view or
Yeah.
on
That's
Stardom
huge.
World. Yeah. By the way, while I got both you gentlemen here, how was your streams on the pay-per-view on I forget what the pay-per-view, because they switched from the PII live stream to this new one, which is easier to use. But ever since they switched over, this is probably the only negative thing I'm going to say. That new service sucks. It freezes all the time. I have to switch from my TV to my laptop to my iPad. I'm literally feel like I'm Tony Stark and Iron Man 2, just pressing buttons to try to make sure I'm not missing anything. I thought, and it's ever since they switched over to this new streaming company, mine's been pitiful. But how about your guys? How was your streams?
Well, I watched after the fact, so mine was okay. Except it did buffer a little bit, and then sometimes with that thing where like it pauses, and then the next 3 or 4 seconds is really fast, and it gets caught up. But other than that, it worked pretty good. But again,
that was just a Zoomy. That was you just watching Zoomy and May Sarah. That's what it was.
Yeah, other than that, it's fine if you watch after the fact. But again, I wasn't live, so I don't know how it is.
There it is. Yeah, they got heat with me, brother. They got heat with me. Just fix it. It's easier to use than the old one with the translation, but it just seems like it. And I noticed that during night 1 of the 5-star, I was literally just going back and forth between my my TV and my my iPad. So, well, look at that. Hey, opposite, Jason, we're different, my man. Opposites attract, I guess. But I'm glad that you were A-okay with it. I've kind of figured out a way around it where I can click off this one, click back on that one, do this, do that. And then, my one cat Ace, he only jumped on my laptop once, which I almost had a heart attack. But partner Rob, how about you? How's your thing with Stage Crowd been?
I would love to say that I had real buffering issues just to back you, but mine was absolutely fine.
I'm an island to myself, and that's okay. That's all right. That's okay because it made up for it for the great wrestling, especially the title change. So I'll take that, my man. Any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Well, Flo Pedro also says that Ice Ribbon service barely works on Chrome, so it could be your browser, as he says. And Colin actually says, in regards to what you were saying about the attendance, Marvel's had to cancel their show entirely because of the typhoon. So the fact, again, that Stardom were able to run and get 2,000 people was definitely a success. I know that wasn't Gambear. There was another company that ran and got 800 as well in Korakuen, which was definitely a success.
Choco
considering
Pro.
That Choco Pro. There you go. I knew a company had.
And I know me and you were talking before we hit the record button. I'm only like 1 or 2 matches into the first Marigold Dreamstar.
Yeah.
And that building was probably maybe about 80% full. So again, in the middle of Typhoon, people are coming out watching Joshi, my man. So good.
That's the heat.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big congratulations, not only to the production and the bookers and obviously the ring crew, putting up the rings. We've been their partner, right? In the middle of storms, the talent, and then the fans as well. We're just like, heck with it. Typhoon, we'll figure it out later. Let's get in there and watch some Tam magic. So,
some Tam magic. Oh, you're going to be insufferable on this podcast.
I didn't start drinking yet.
Something I did want to talk to you about, and Andy, this is something I wanted to sort of point in your direction. Obviously, we've had the heel turn for Sayaka Kamatani. It was the turn itself was less the turn, it was more the justification for the turn, which was saw the issue. People didn't quite know why she'd turned, and then as she's gone on through the tournament, she's won a lot of people over, to the point where today Stardom actually put out a tweet to say that her merch had completely sold out before the show had even started. What are your thoughts? And obviously we're going to be talking a lot about Sayaka Kamatani throughout the show, but what are your thoughts on the Phoenix Queen, Goth Girl Saya, or Undertaker Saya, or My Chemical Saya Kamatani, whatever you like to call her?
I'm going to cut you out because Rob always says Saya turned this way because she listened to My Chemical Romance.
Absolutely.
I'm going to turn this in our world, buddy. I think that what happened is she listened to Kill 'Em All. Killing is business and business is good and south of the heaven. That's what I'm gonna go with, my man. And she's been wrestling like it. Good God, the way she dropped Starlight Kid on her head on that final at the quarterfinals of the Star Crusher.
Quarterfinals.
Yeah, she's wrestling like she was listening to some Whiplash.
And then she found the Cradle of Filth album.
Me and Andy are big thrash metal fans, guys. We love our
Not
thrash
that you can
metal.
tell.
Yeah. The turn did seem a little like, what are we doing? But like anyone says, the best time to turn someone is when you least expect it, when they're the most over as a babyface turn heel. And like you guys said on the podcast before, like she was still wrestling as a babyface for a lot of it initially. Probably didn't find her footing yet. And to get back with that merch, that shirt is awesome, and I would buy that shirt if I could buy that shirt because it's really. But
it is sick.
Yeah, as my clock gongs here.
Oh, I was wondering what that was. I thought it was my
I was like,
it's
someone actually playing Kill 'Em All.
But yeah, it kind of makes a little bit more sense now, and I do like her as a bad guy, and the gear is awesome, and we'll talk more about gear later. But
yes.
Yeah, looking with her facials and everything, so she's getting there. But sometimes in wrestling, like I've done, when you're a face for many years or heel, and then you do the opposite, it's a weird transition, and you need that period to adjust. And I think that's what she needed a little bit, to adjust and like wrestle like, hey, I'm going to do this move. Oh, wait, I can't do that move because that's more of a face move. I should do something a little bit more dastardly or something like that. So, I mean, it's adjusting period, but I like the gimmick. I like the look. It's cool. It was kind of out of nowhere, but now that we have it, it's like, you know what? Let's go with it.
That's pretty much in a nutshell how I feel about it. The packaging of it is sensational. Like the entrance, there's a photo, and I think you retweeted it, Matt. The fire behind her, and she's got that massive black collar. She's got the black flag. She looks insane, like truly incredible. It was always these sort of intangibles that sort of were like, being a heel is more than just sticking your tongue out every now and then, which seemed to be what she was doing at the very, very start. However, those probably the last 3 block matches, and then obviously today, I thought she got it on point. She really, really had. And the fact that she seems to be leaning into less a heel and more, I am better than you. I am a goddamn king in this ring, and you aren't going to touch me. And you could see actually when Micah, who was the first person to really get on top of Sayaka, even Hannon, when she beat her in the block, wasn't on top of her. It was a shock win. Micah, when she was thoroughly getting on top of her in the final, you could see Sayaka revert to her babyface moveset almost out of panic and almost out of like, I don't know what else to do. And that story worked really well in the final, reverting to the Phoenix, or the attempted Phoenix splash, where I was like, surely we're not going to win with that. But yeah, I think overall the packaging has been great. I think she is doing really well with that turn now. Would I prefer face Sayaka Kamatani? Absolutely. Can I change that? No. So is there any point about being angry about it? No. We have got a very, very good Sayaka Kamatani. And actually, I said this when we were reviewing the quarterfinals, Matt. We saw Starlight Kid as one of the best baby faces and biggest reactions to a babyface we've seen in ages, and we saw Sayaka Kamatani getting a heel reaction and still being an absolute badass in the ring. We are potentially seeing the 2 people on whom the shoulders of Stardom will rest for the next 5-6 years, and that's very, very, very exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, if for some reason you listen to this and you did not listen to the last episode, it was the Matt Turner apology tour. So
I was,
yeah, the only time I've ever been negative on this show, like completely negative, obviously was a month or so ago, where people like the little heel turn Matt Turner on everything going on Sayaka Kamatani, and it was just like, oh, okay, like and again, I said it before, and I know Heather will back me up on this because we had several conversations. There's a lot left. There's a lot of steam left from that Micah championship run. We might be getting it back again. Who knows? But everything with Saya has been absolutely fantastic. She does have that persona again. You mentioned just a minute ago, partner, that she was doing some of the Phoenix, the Golden Phoenix stuff. She hasn't done the Kikagoye, which is the the double wrist kick thing. I just call it the Kikagoye because Kotobushi calls it the Kamagoye, so I just call it the Kikagoye. She hasn't done that at all.
Makes sense.
And she did it twice onto Micah, and I think twice onto Hanan on the same show. So it's just like, oh, and then, and I mentioned last week how Karen Peterson, Karen's on vacation. So hello, Karen, if you see this in the future. But she mentioned about how Saya needs to stop crying what did Saya do after she ate the 3 count? And then in the backstage promo, she went back to crying. So I was like,
that was a killer backstage promo as well. It was really, really good.
It really was. So it's really interesting what they're doing with her. And there's a lot of moving pieces in Stardom. And obviously we'll get into it, but I don't like the flip-flopping of the belts, because now we've done it with the white belt and the red belt. But at the same time, there's so many wrestlers in Stardom that are evenly matched. The Sorianos, the Natsupois. We know Hazuki's going to be in line for a championship. Micah had the belt, she lost it, and now Totora, now it's on Tam. Now we have a Micah match set up. We can have a Mayu match set up. We can have a Tomoka Inaba match set up. We can have an Azumi match set up. And if any of those belts flip-flop, it's because the division is so stacked that it's like, yeah, you can see that. You can see the titles changes. Again, I'm not a big fan of it, but I understand it. It's very much like the UFC a handful of years ago. The light heavyweight championship went from like Tito Ortiz to Chuck Liddell to Randy Couture, back to Chuck Liddell to Rampage Jackson to Forrest Griffin to Rashad Evans. It was constantly like one title defense and then done. And then John Jones came in and cleared everything out because the division was so stacked. It's just like, holy geez, you can see the belt flipping from time to time. And you can see that with the 2 top belts in Stardom because there's so many great wrestlers at the top in the main event scene. And it's just like, yeah, let's give this person a shot. Let's see what they can do with the championship belt for 2 or 3 defenses and then kind of go from there. But I guess that's one of the problems in a good way of having such a stacked roster. Again, not only at the top, but the middle as well.
Yeah, agreed. We are obviously going to talk about the titles in a moment, but what better place to start this card than with Waka Tsukiyama, who who defeated Rian with the Moonlight Dream in 8 minutes and 14 seconds. And perhaps the most important thing coming out of this match, and potentially the entire show, is that Rian might have chosen a faction to join. Now, obviously, Rian is a very green rookie. I think she's doing tremendously well. She has spent the last 3 weeks being arsed in the face by Waka Tsukiyama. But in terms of a faction, where would you like to see her to sort of continue that growth? Andy, let's start with you.
Actually, I missed this match. Well, the first match I seen was the FWC match. So
in that case, ignore everything I've just said. We'll wipe it. It's fine.
Don't put her. I think they're capped at 88 members. So don't. But yeah. So
it's fine. Though I would like to see what the reaction would be to a Rian heel turn. Matt, who do you think? Where do you think Rian goes?
Either Queen's Quest or DX. I mean, you gotta break it down.
Join Waka DX, absolutely.
Waka X.
Waka X.
I would say EXV because with Mina, we don't know what her situation is, but her probably not being a Stardom as much as they want. By no means she can replace Mina because Mina's a main eventer, but you can bump other members up like Zena. Zena's done an unbelievable great job. Unbelievable. So you can kind of just bump the certain members of EXV up and then slot Rian in there in like the Sayaka Korora, Aya Sakura spot that they are in Cosmic Angels. And I think Rian and Micah would make a really good team. And I would love to see Micah and Rian do the Mina Micah take a picture spot, because why the hell not? I would love them to see them do the Venus Tower, as me and Andy had her know that's called the Anthill for all of you Chikara fans from 20 years ago. So that's where I would like to see her go. Again, Queen's Quest, I don't know or DX. If it doesn't happen, let's go EXV would be my third choice. How about you, partner?
I think Stars. I know that they've got a lot of members, but I think it's time that Momoko got bumped up and stopped being the pin eater. So, obviously I'm not saying that Rian is going to be a perpetual pin eater for the rest of her career, but, at least for now, let's give Momoko some wins. I thought she did really well actually today in the match with Anna Jay, but I just feel like Rian could learn a lot, similar to Victoria Yuzuki when she said, I want to learn under Mayu, I want to learn under Hazuki. I feel like you are only going to develop quicker under the tutelage of Mayu and Hazuki and obviously Koguma as well. Because where else are you going to learn the Kuma dance? Like we've seen how damaging that can be. Absolutely. But Matt, what did you think about this match as a whole?
I mean, it was just a match to kind of your pre-show. So it's kind of just you're getting Rian and Waka on a big stage. Waka's gotten a lot of wins here, buddy. She's this year's Sayaka, like how we would say Sayaka won the green block. I think that Waka won the pink block this year, right? Like,
she might well have done, yeah.
Yeah, her and Micah undefeated, but it was nice to see these two. They've been paired in the three-ways, and three-ways are really tough to do, especially when you have somebody like Rian who's only been wrestling a handful of months, but very much like a Rani Yagami, Aya Sakura, Sayaka Kurora, and even Victoria Yuzuki over at Marigold is wrestling like she's been wrestling 3 or 4 years. Like really understands certain things, timing, ring positioning, all things that take years and years to learn. So it was nice to see these two in front of a big crowd on a big stage. You know, one of the most important, arguably the third biggest show Stardom does of the year behind Dream Queendom and All-Star Grand Queendom. Nice to see them out there. And yeah, Waka getting another W, my man. She's piling up. So, I mean, hey, Tam, you better look out because Waka Mania might be running wild, brother.
Imagine if that was her first title defense. Imagine if at the Korakuen beforehand, I think they're running Korakuen on the 8th of September. Imagine if Waka comes out and just goes, sure, a title match. We then moved on to the other match that was free on YouTube, which saw the Fukuoka Double Crazy team of Hazuki and Koguma defeat the Cosmic Angels of Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurora, with Koguma pinning Sayaka Kurora with a diving body splash in 10 minutes and 38 seconds. Andy, this was the first match you actually saw. I will be perfectly honest with you. I also missed Waka Tsukiyama the first time, so had to go back and watch it. So what did you think of this match? And also, how damn good a Fukuoka Double Crazy?
I really like them, and my thing, their gear is very nice, and it matches.
Their gear is awesome. Yes, it is. It is awesome gear.
I thought a nice opening match. It was fast-paced. There was nothing too crazy, but it's an opening match, so sometimes you don't want to go too crazy. But it was a fine tag match, and then big splash off the top by Koguma. Like, I don't know. There's not too much to say about it. It wasn't by any means like a blow-away match, but it wasn't like, oh, God, this match. So a good, nice opening match. That's all I can really say.
Yeah. Mr. Turner.
Hazuki must have been in a really good mood because her level of violence on a scale of 1 to 10 is usually a 20. And she was like an 8 today. She just seemed like she was in an extra good mood, kind of like, I'll beat up these kids a little bit. But I'm a huge fan of Aya and Sayaka. We have the Goddess of Stardom tournament coming up soon. You know, I would love to see Aya and Sayaka as a team. And they'll probably eat all the L's in the world, but that's fine. It's all about the experience. And you're wrestling arguably the best tag team in all of wrestling here in Hazuki and Koguma, FWC. Again, another nice spotlight for the two young rookies over there in Cosmic Angels. Hazuki and Koguma gave them quite a bit in this match. 10 minutes. I thought it was a really, really solid outing. At the end, it was just the FWC, just their blitzing of their double teaming and the experience and the big body splash from the Bear for the 1, 2, 3. 3.5 stars. Really, really good match. And this might have been just a primer of what we're going to get on their next tournament. Maybe that's what they should be doing as they're setting up these big these big championship matches, like your underneath matches. You're going to start to really pump up your tag teams you're going to see in the Goddess of Stardom tournament. Because I know me and you were texting this morning, buddy, and I don't see any reason why this can't be the greatest Goddess of Stardom tag tournament Stardom has ever done based on just the talent alone. I mean, Stardom's always had a really good deep tag division, but I mean, this is just insane with the FWC, the O2 line, the Crazy Star, Wingori. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Melt here, how stacked the tag division is. So, I think if this was kind of maybe of a primer of what we're going to be seeing in the fall, I'm all for it. Yeah, really, really solid outing here.
I think as well, I was singing the praises of Aya Sakura not long ago, and I thought she was a real star in this match. But she clearly has a death wish because who the hell challenges Suzuki to a forearm off? But she certainly did lay out Hazuki on several occasions with some properly stiff kicks. I'm a big fan of her. I think she's going to progress really well. I like her and Sayaka Kurora as a team. But yeah, it was ultimately just a fairly run-of-the-mill victory for Fukuoka Double Crazy, especially as I imagine we'll be building Hazuki to other things come the end of the year. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Fingers crossed indeed. We then moved on to the first of our 5-star semi-finals, the block finals. The Red Stars block final will start with, but just a couple of stats. Now, Matt, I know you had a little bit of 5-star trivia for Mr. Header. Would you like to give it him now?
Yes, Andy Header. There has only, let's see, there was, we have a couple 5-star trivia questions here for you, my friend. There has only been, now after this tournament, 3 wrestlers that have made it to the finals twice. Now, do you know who those 3 wrestlers are? The one I don't think he's going to get.
What?
I'd be amazed if he gets one.
Tony Storm?
No.
Oh,
Ooh, it's a good shout, though.
Good shout, yeah.
1-1. So I said maybe she got to the end of her. Go with Mayu. Did she ever? And then the last.
I'll give you a hint. She made it to the finals today.
Oh. So then Micah.
Yeah, Micah made. Yeah, she was Suzu last year, and then Sayaka Kamatani this year. So there, and then we'll do another little trivia for you. There, had Sayaka Kamatani won the 5-star Grand Prix today, she would have been only one of 4 wrestlers to win the Cinderella tournament and the 5-star Grand Prix. Can you name the other 3 wrestlers? Oh, Yoko Bito was the other wrestler that made it to finals. You wouldn't know who that is. She's great. Homework for you is Yoko Bito versus Io Shirai for the World of Stardom Championship.
October Showdown 2016 is a great match.
There it is. Yeah, his list is going like this. But so there has been 3 wrestlers that have won the Cinderella tournament and the 5-star Grand Prix. You definitely have heard of these 3 wrestlers before.
One of those is Tony Storm.
Yes, he's the only one to do it in the same year. Yeah.
Then I'm going to go with Mayu again.
Yep, you got it.
And then finally,
Let me know if you want a hint.
Yeah, jeez.
She's on a plane. She just got off a plane to come to America for a long, long time.
Oh, Mina Shirakawa.
Nope.
Oh, gee, for a long, long time. Oh, Julia.
Yeah, there you go.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Well done. So, in terms of where we stood, Micah versus Mayu Iwatani in Red Stars, and we have got Sayaka Kamatani versus Hanan in Blue Stars. A little bit interesting knowledge. Either Mayu or Iwatani or Micah had the opportunity to join Utami and Yoko Bito as the only people to reach more than one 5-star Grand Prix final. If Mayu would have won the entire tournament, she'd have become the only person to win it more than once. We have had no multiple-time winners. Hanan had a lot to gain, to be fair. She had the opportunity to become the youngest ever winner of the 5-star Grand Prix at just 20 years old. The youngest would have been Tony Storm, or is Tony Storm, should I say, who won the 2017 tournament aged 22. She would also become the second person, should I say, to win the Cinderella tournament and the 5-star Grand Prix in the same year, a feat previously only achieved again by Tony Storm. But we started with Micah defeating Mayu Iwatani in the Red Stars final with a wrist clutch Michinoku driver 2 in 11 minutes and 44 seconds, meaning that we were definitely getting a brand new 5-star winner. Matt Turner, we had Micah and Mayu Iwatani in a match together. What else can you say?
I know a lot of wrestling fans have Sari as their women wrestler of the year thus far in this year. And I'm not going to disagree. It's your opinion. But for me, what Mike and Mayu have been doing, I think, is a little bit better than what Sari's doing. My wrestler of the year goes Ospreay 1, and then 2, 3, and 4, you can mix it with Micah, Mayu, and Bryan Danielson. So considering the fact that, in my opinion, the 2 best women's wrestlers this year are wrestling for the spot to make it to the finals, my expectations for this match were incredibly high, and boy howdy did they hit, because this was great. First of all, it starts with a big lockup, which, hey, I always put over a big lockup. Love me a big lockup.
Always.
But as this match is building, I'm sitting there going, and I think I tweeted this out, like I'm sitting there thinking how they're putting this match together. And partner, from wrestling as long as you've been wrestling, that sometimes you're watching a match, you're like, how are they putting this together? And I think Micah sat in the locker room, and Micah was like, "Hey, Micah, what do you want to do? This high expectations here. What do you want to do?" And Micah was like, "Hey, those matches you did with EO back in 2016 and 2017? We did all those insane bumps. Can we do those?" "Yeah, sure. So you want me to give me a dragon suplex on the apron?" Yeah. Let's do that. Because that's what this was, and it just built and built and built. And this match was terrific. I mentioned how during the quarterfinals, that Natsupoi was able to counter the Mayu evasion with a spin kick, and nobody other than Momo Watanabe has countered that Mayu corner evasion. Micah counters it with a simple body slam. And I'm like, oh, I like that. I like how we have speed versus technique. We have the size and strength versus the technique and speed and the agility of Mayu. I thought that was some really good stuff there. I like how Mike is just using the lariats and the Sazankas to kind of break down Mayu getting towards the end of the match. But I love it how Mayu finally gets the advantage back and hitting the big bombs to break down Micah's neck that really started with that Snapdragon on the apron, but she misses the moonsault, what ultimately is like her end doing, as Micah just blitzes her with the Michinoku drivers and then hits the hammerlock Michinoku driver for the finish. This was absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite matches of the tournament. This one actually got the perfect 5 stars for me. My expectations were high going in, and they met it and maybe even exceed it. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it, because this was the worst match as far as stage crowd goes, because it kept buffering and I kept looking between my laptop, my TV, and then my iPad. I felt like I was like doing neck rolls over there, but I still enjoyed for everything that I saw. But again, I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it to make sure I fully am going to stay at the 5 stars, which I probably will. But this was great match between two of the best wrestlers in all of wrestling, Micah and Mayu. Again, my expectations were high, and they hit it for me. 5 stars for me, gentlemen.
I mean, high bar to follow, Andy. Did you give this the perfect 5 stars, or were you slightly more reserved when it comes to your rating of this match?
I was a little more on the reserve side, but just to show like what kind of loaded show this is, Micah versus Mayu is the second match on the main show. The second match. Again, Micah would wrestle twice, obviously. Well, if she won, the winner would wrestle twice. But yeah, I didn't give it quite that high. It was a really good match. That dragon suplex on the ring apron is insane. I don't even want to take that move on a normal in the middle of the ring, the softest part of the ring, let alone the hardest part. But yeah, the 2 Michinoku drivers and the kick out, and then finally the I call it the hammerlock Michinoku.
Yeah.
Name for that, and that's what does it in. But yeah, this match was really good. A great match. I only gave it 4 1/4, but I mean that's nothing. It's not bad by any means. Like especially when you're getting like matches like this whole 5 star. I'm like, boy, I only get that 4 1/4, but it's still really good. Like I try to save the 5 stars for like, okay, that one was so good that I had to give 5 stars, like the best. Kind of like the Spinal Tap. It's like, if this one goes to 11, well, why don't you just make 9 the best, or 10 the best, and put it 9 and go to 10? This one goes to 11.
I can't turn up to 11.
So that's why, yeah, 4 1/4. But yeah, a really good match to start, and it's just crazy. So this is the second match on the show, and it's like, wow, what else do we have in store?
Exactly. Yeah, completely agree. I love the juxtaposition of Mayu's sort of tenacity and quickness against Micah's just outright brutish power. I think it worked really well. Mayu's selling, and we knew it would be, Mayu's selling of Micah's power was fantastic. And ultimately, we know that Mayu's resilience is fabled somewhat, and it takes a lot to put her away. And literally a Micah blitz at the end was enough. She kicked out two back-to-back Michinoku drivers. She ultimately ate 3, and then the wrist clutch or the hammerlock Michinoku driver too. So it took a lot to put Mayu away. Micah comes out of there looking like an absolute beast. She's just 1 win away from a clean sweep at this point, and it's something that's never been done in the 5-star Grand Prix. So even more history potentially for the Crimson. Oh, hiccups for the Crimson Empress. I was actually more in line with Andy than I was with Matt. I gave it 4.5. Thought it was great. But I had only just woken up, so that's probably why. We will move on then. So we know that Micah has won the Red Stars. Block was into the final for a second time back-to-back, becoming only the second person to do that back-to-back after Yoko Bito. We moved to Blue Stars with Sayaka Kamatani defeating Hanan with a Frankensteiner in 10 minutes and 22 seconds. I thoroughly enjoyed this match, and I thoroughly enjoyed it for a whole host of reasons, but the chemistry between Hanan and Sayaka Kamatani is brilliant, and it's against characters like Hanan where Saya's heel persona works really, really, really well, and where that arrogance comes out for Saya. And you felt it throughout this match where even though Hanan was sort of this ball of energy, the way she was just attacking in blitzes and then being like knocked back down, and then she'd attack in more flurries and then she'd get knocked back down. But the way that they managed to sort of lift this match and build this match and build this match, and then for it to end with the Frankensteiner, I think it worked really well. It's also worked really well the fact that they would then build that up in the final as well. So there's storytelling throughout the night. Overall, I think two of Saya's best matches of the tournament have been against Hanan, and Hanan deserves incredible credit for that. She is 20 years old, for God's sake. Really, really, really good way. I think it's fantastic for her to be able to say, look, I wrestled in the semifinals, full stop. I don't think anyone gave her a shot in hell of getting through to the actual final, but the fact that she was given like the nod to go, right, you're getting out there with Saya, you've got 10 minutes. We won a fantastic match, and we got a fantastic match. Like that Famouser off the apron, like I can't imagine that landing is nice for anyone, to be perfectly honest, because Saya landed on her head and Hanan like landed round a coccyx. That cannot be nice at all. But yeah, I thought Hanan is someone, and we're going to talk about who we think our breakout stars are going to be. And we knew that Hanan was of a certain level going into this match. And I feel like this tournament has really cemented her as an upper echelon talent. Is she like full on superstar main eventer, Mayu levels? No, not yet. Of course not. However, if Hanan were to rock up tomorrow and say, I'm having a white belt shot against Natsupoi, I'd be like, yeah, go on then. Yeah, absolutely, that works. She is on that level now. And I don't think anyone who watches the product would be of a different opinion. I think that Hanan sort of fits in that ilk. I think that she is on perhaps just under the level of a Natsupoi. And at the age of 20, with all of the wrestling that she has got left to do, I think that's credit to her. Matt?
Yeah, this was a great match like their first one was, and that was like the first Hanan versus Sayaka Kamatani singles match, at least that I know of, especially the fact the two of them have been growing so much since 2021. These two are terrific. Again, I think Hanan, as far as work rate goes, she's the best future Stardom champion, and Sayaka Kamatani is the best Wonder of Stardom champion. And last week, I believe it was, that they had their match. Phenomenal match, and then we're running it back again. And this was really good, and because you have Sayaka Kamatani's explosiveness. She's so explosive in everything that she does, and then Hanan's able to do a lot of fighting spirit. So a lot of big moves that Saya's hitting onto Hanan, like she used the Kikagoye. Again, we have not seen that since the heel turn from Sayaka Kamatani. She used it twice, and Hanan is able to kind of fire back up. Saya does like that spin kick trio, and Hanan dodges all three of them, and then Saya's just like, I didn't hit any of them, and by the time she realized she didn't hit any of them, Hanan pops up and hits her with a huge European uppercut. So that was cool. You mentioned the Famouser running off the apron. Yes, that right on Hanan's tailbone. And the fact that happened like 3 minutes in. Yeah, the fact that happened like 3 minutes in, and she's got to go another 6 or 7 minutes. It just goes to show you what a great wrestler that Hanan is. And the one thing we've seen in this tournament, especially these two matches with Sayaka Kamatani, and they love it in Japan, and I love it in my wrestling, is the fighting spirit from an underneath babyface against somebody that is supposed to be your big bad heel in Sayaka Kamatani. Like I said, we saw it in a lot of the matches, but it was on full display with Sayaka Kamatani. Saya knew how to get the most out of Hanan in this match, who's already a superstar. Excellent stuff. I kind of figured with Micah hitting all the Michinoku drivers, and then basically her super finisher, the hammerlock Michinoku driver onto onto Mayu, that we would see Kamatani hitting probably one or two of the Star Crushes. That doesn't happen here. Hanan has it well scouted. There's one really cool spot where Saya goes for the Star Crusher, and Hanan puts the brakes on, and then she's like, well, we're already kind of locked up here. She scoops underneath Sayaka Kamatani's leg and hits the Hanan special, which is one of Hanan's big moves. And then they're teasing the backdrop back and forth, which I thought was great. Hanan, very much like in the match with Soriano, has Soriano almost dead to rights and has Kamatani dead to rights, hits the one wrist clutch backdrop driver, but instead of going for the pin, goes for the next one to put us. But again, it just shows the inexperience. It's just like, oh no,
that level,
yeah, that's what cost you the white belt. Now that's going to cost you, and ultimately it does. It costs her going to the finals. Kamatani hits the Frankensteiner out of nowhere for the 3 count, and I was like, oh, okay, let's see where we're going there. And again, we'll talk about me and you were texting earlier this morning. They use it for a big falsie that 2,100 people bid on for the match with Micah. So I was like, oh, I like that level of storytelling that Kamatani, pretty much every single match that she's won in this tournament is with some variation of the Star Crusher. This one, she uses the Hurricanrana, the Frankensteiner with the leg capture, and almost catches Hanan. Hanan, great tournament. I had this one at 4.5 stars, and I had the match last week at 4.5 stars. And after Header gives his review, I just want to know from you gentlemen, which match did you like better, this one or the one last week, the one that Hanan won?
Andy, after you, my friend.
Okay, another great match to follow up Mayu and Micah. I thought this one was really good. This match I liked a little bit more than their other match. I have this match 4.25, and the last match I only had a 4, but they're both really good matches, and I like the surprise Frankensteiner jumping Frankensteiner. I like that as a surprise finisher for Saya, and I think Maya should use it. I thought, like you were saying, I thought she was going to do the top rope one later on. Oh boy, here we go! But yeah, a great match, and I like Hanan. Hanan also was the only one that I gave 5 stars to at this. We'll talk about that match then later. But yeah, a great match, and I agree with everything that you guys said. I really like Hanan's fighting spirit and her underdog baby face, and I really like her, and I do see her possibly getting, if she at least getting a shot, maybe getting the white belt, maybe sometime next year.
She's gonna win everything. As long as she stays healthy and doesn't become a professional drummer, she's gonna win everything.
I mean, Jason Camp says it best. I think Hanan could easily make the finals next year, and if she continues on the pace she's been on this year, she could even be in a position to win it. Could not agree more. If Hanan continues on this trajectory, I could easily see her making a 5-star final, easily. And when you look at that sort of, you think on, for lack of a better phrase, the back burner as to who could win a 5-star, Starlight Kid, Azumi, Hanan, Suzu Suzuki again. You've got all these people who could go on. Natsupoi.
I love how I no sold it. I love it.
Ruaka.
The spray can.
Oh my God, that bloody can. But no, I am in complete agreement with Jason there. I think Hanan is on the precipice, and we've sort of used that phrase a bit with Hanan. We thought the Cinderella was sort of the jumping off point, and she then had a great match with Saori Anou. But I feel like this getting, not only did she get through to the semifinals, you think about who she had to beat to get through to the semifinals. She had to beat Saya, she had to beat Syuri, and then had to beat Saya again. That's a tough run, and to beat, not many people can say they've beaten Syuri clean. Especially not, and Suzu in singles action.
She beat Suzu and Shuri. We mentioned it last week. She beat, or this past week, she beat Suzu and Shuri, 2 former winners of this tournament, in the same night, and then has to go against Sai Kamatani. Oh, by the way, who she beat the week before. So, I mean, that's a pretty good run. She beat everybody with the S's. She beat Saya,
absolutely.
Suzu, Shuri. Starlight Kid, you better watch out.
Absolutely. She's coming for you. But yes, I actually liked, and I think I said this to you, man, when we were testing this morning. I think I actually preferred this match a little bit more. And I think it was because, I love Mayu. We all know I love Mayu, and her chemistry with Mike was great. I think Mayu sells a lariat like nobody else, even though Saya sold it brilliantly in the final, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But I really enjoyed the face heel sort of juxtaposition here, and the way that this match built, and the way that sort of Hanan's chances were snuffed out. Like, she was on the up, she was in control, and then just because of a quick mistake, she lost it. It wasn't like she got battered and then Saya eventually, won with the cocky Jericho pin that everyone tried to do on WWF SmackDown. It was a case of exactly. It was a case of, Hanan wasn't quite experienced enough at this level to be able to get the win. Saya was just that little bit more in-ring smart when it came to that. And I thought that was a really good story to tell, and really good way to build Saya as she went into the final. Moving on then, we went into sort of our undercard, if you will, which was a little bit of a strange way to do, but obviously with the semifinals and you want to give everyone time to rest, made perfect sense. It was a singles match. Anna Jay defeating Momoko, submitting with the Queen Slayer in 7 minutes and 9 seconds in what is ultimately Anna Jay's final match of this Stardom tour. Andy, I'm going to start with you because obviously you are an AEW fan. You've watched a lot of AEW. In terms of Anna Jay, I know that when she was announced for the tournament, it was very much a case of yes, this is perfect for Anna Jay's development. You know, if she wants to get better, she needs to do this. You've seen her you've seen her in AEW, and now you've seen her in this tournament. You've seen her throughout the tournament. What are your thoughts on her progression? Can you see the sort of way that she's developed throughout the tournament?
Yeah. So her first match with Suri, and of course she got the surprise win. You could kind of see it was like she wasn't really used to not being in AEW quite yet. But the tournament went on, and as she had more matches, and I've been told ever since I started wrestling, the only way to get better is to wrestle people who are better than you. And when AEW, when she's wrestling, Red Velvet on Rampage, nothing against her, but you're probably not going to get better there, or of the wrestling Blue Sky or whatever, Sky Blue. But over here, he sent her over to Stardom, and now she's wrestling people that are way, way ahead of her, and nothing against her, but that's how you get better. And I think she's been able to hold her own. I mean, her strikes have gotten tighter. That kick in the corner that she used to miss by a mile, when she goes in, spinning back kick, that was sometimes a Rampage, and ooh. But now she's actually hitting that, and she's got much better in the what she had 8 matches total or whatever. She's done tremendously. This has been done more for her career than maybe all of the time she's been in AEW, which is crazy when you think about it. And who knows what she's been doing off when they're not having shows, if she's training or whatever. But yeah, her advancement has been much, much better. So when she does go back to AEW in a week or two and has matches there, if she gets on TV, like you're saying, it's much better. I mean, that's if I went to New Japan today and I wrestled, for eight matches, I would be much better than when I went there. So yeah, good on Anna Jay. I'm glad. When she was announced, I was kind of I don't know if that's why it's said, but whatever. But she has done well. This match was good. I mean, all her matches. I thought her match with Kaguma was really good.
It was.
Yeah. So this match, I only put it 3.75 for also almost 4 stars, but a good match. Anna Jay has improved tremendously. Her strikes are tighter. She's getting better. She's also the thing she started with was that I'm looking. Okay, here comes a move, which she's got much better with that too. But that's all. She's wrestling in Stardom, and she's wrestling wrestlers that are better than she is. So I'm glad. I hope she comes back too. Send her back to AEW, and then have her come back and do some shows, or like you're saying for the tag tournament. Why not send her and
exactly,
or whoever? I mean, they have 55 wrestlers that can send over. Why not send over? And why not? So yeah, Anna Jay has done tremendously better than what she was doing on Rampage and stuff. So yeah, a good tournament showing for Anna Jay. One of the many people who are coming out looking much better than when they went in.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. I think when she first came in, I mean, she was jet lagged to hell. I think in the promo she said I landed at 4 a.m. or something of the day of the show, and then she's wrestling Soriano. It was like, oh god. But I think she did really well, and the hope was that, she's wrestling, you look at who was in a block: Suri, Starlight Kid, Soriano, and they were her first 3 matches from what I remember. So that is a trial by fire, and 3 very, very, very different wrestlers as well. You got Suri, who is such a legitimate badass that she scares me, and I'm thousands of miles away from her. You've got Starlight Kid, who is rapid and is now becoming just a brutal submission sort of stand that only focuses on legs. And you've got Soriano, who is made of 90% elastic band. So they're 3 very, very different wrestlers. And I think she navigated those waters really well, coupled with the fact these wrestlers don't speak English. When you are putting these matches together, yes, of course, you can call a lot of it in the ring and a lot of it is done by feel, but it's so much easier when someone speaks English. And even though I think the Zena match was the best match of the tournament, really good match, I don't think there's a massive difference between that match and the matches she was wrestling against Japanese talent. And I think that's a huge plus for her. There aren't any moments in this run where I'm like, good God, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
I think she fit in really well. I think her moveset was really good. I really liked the way that she dominated Miyu Amasaki. I thought the match with Koguma and the way that she sort of navigated the comedy elements and was a part of those, but still a kick-ass, person who's going to choke you out with the Queenslayer. I think that was really, really good as well. We saw a different side of her. And then obviously, I think this was more of your sort of standard one-on-one fair. I think when we saw it was going to be Anna Jay versus Momoko, bless her. I don't think anyone had Momoko winning. But she's a solid hand, Momoko, and it was another really good match. We saw Momoko on the Ring of Honor pre-show because literally you can insert her and she'll be fine. Like, just put her in, she'll be great. And I think that was another case here. I think Anna Jay, she actually came out in the promo afterwards and said pretty much word for word what you said, Andy. These wrestlers are so good. I'm only going to get better by wrestling these people. I've learned so much. And if that's what we do, I completely agree with you. Like, why not send her and a Tay Conti, who I think she's cleared. I think I read something that she's cleared because her and Sammy have had a child, haven't they? But have TJ go over. Why not? Have them win 2 or 3 matches. It's only going to benefit them. And if you're short of teams because you've got all of these teams in the upper echelon, you need some middle card teams. Why not? Why not? And again, it's only going to give your AEW women's talent some TV time. But yeah, I thought overall it was a solid match, and I think there's only positives to come out of Anna Jay's tour, Matt.
Yeah, Andy made mention about how her strikes in 2 or 3 matches have gotten so much better than they were in the last 2 or 3 years.
Agreed.
That's going to happen when you're in the locker room with the Mayus, when you're in the locker room with the Momos, when you're in the ring with the Sherrys, the Starlight Kids, the Izumis,
the Zena.
The Zenas, yes, the hard hitters. I like the whole Anna Jay. I'm all for Anna Jay coming back. I've been very vocal since like the second match. I'm like, I hope after this tour, if their AEW doesn't have anything for her, send her back. And again, you have the Goddess of Stardom tournament partner. You had a great idea with Ty Conti. My thing where I was going to go with it is you have 5 members of Neo Genesis. Starlight Kid's kind of the odd person out because you've got Crazy Star and you got O2 Line. Why not have her team with Starlight Kid? You know how much stuff that she's going to learn teaming with Starlight Kid? And then Anna Jay coming in a funny little mask. That's great. You'll sell those things. You'll make whatever money you're paying Anna Jay, you'll make your money back at the time the tour's done. Come on, guys. I've given you – come on, Starter. We literally print you money every week. There it is. But, I thought that this was excellent, a really solid match. You made mention a couple shows ago about one of the reasons why you thought Zena and Anna Jay was so good is because there's no language barrier. And I didn't even think about that until you said, I'm like, that was her best match in the entire 5-star. But yeah, the Starlight Kid match was great. The Shuri match was really good. The Soriano match was really good. I think one of the reasons why this match was so good is Momoko speaks like perfect English. And these two gelled really, really well. You had a great technical wrestling to start. I liked how Momoko early in the match went for the 619, only for Anna Jay to block it. And then she uses a rope assisted neck breaker and she starts working over Momoko, then for Momo to fire back up with the big DDT. She hits the 619 DDT. She starts chaining those moves back to back. But ultimately, it's Anna Jay focusing on the back, focusing on the neck, telling a simple story in 7 minutes, locking in the rear naked choke, the Queenslayer, to getting the tap out. I thought this was a really terrific match, a great way to start building back this card up as we get into our main event and our co-main event. Really the last 3 matches because they're championship matches. I have the same rating as Andy, 3 3/4 stars. I thought this was a terrific match, and I would love to see Anna Jay back in Stardom, sooner than later.
I think as well, something else positive that you can take from this is because she wrestled really well, both on the defensive and on the offensive. So against Miyu Amasaki, for example, she was very aggressive in the way that she was going for the Queenslayer. And then when you look at her match with Starlight Kid, for example, where Starlight Kid just completely obliterated her knee and then tapped her out with the Black Tiger leg killer, they were two very different matches, and she wrestled both really well. And I think that's really important as well. She isn't just having the same match over and over again and getting good at that specific match. You know, she's adapting to the situation, adapting to the wrestler. And I think that's really good for her as well. Moving on then, speaking of singles matches, Zena defeated Sayaka with the Thunderstruck in 8 minutes and 57 seconds. This was the moment my girlfriend walked in to see what I was doing, basically, or to see what was happening. And it was just as the mutated Hulk gorilla came up on screen, which is a cool visual anyway. But then she was like, "Is that just a muscly gorilla?" I was like, "Well, that's a nickname, the Muscle Gorilla." And she gave Saya a real look of, "I can't believe they've made you have that nickname," as though they were. But it was like, no, she's chosen that nickname. That look, she's really, really hench, and she came out. She whipped the coat off, and she's like that. And she, you know, muscles have got muscles. But I genuinely found that really funny. The fact that she was like, "I can't believe she's been saddled with that nickname." No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But yes, just chops for days. Zena has been absolutely fantastic on this tour. In fact, probably since the Cinderella has been on the up and up. I think she's been such an exciting addition. She's been able to hold up EXV with Micah and Mina Shirakawa's absence. You know, everything from her title match at the Conversion to her matches with Syuri. That I'm still going to go back to it. That spinning power slam while she's stuck in the ropes. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. How do you do that so smoothly and so quickly? It's unreasonable. You know, her match with Starlight Kid was great. Her match with Miyu Amasaki, you know, even though it lasted 3 minutes, was really, really good. And she's such a talent. And I really, really hope that her and Dagger do stay in Japan. Please, Dagger, if you're watching, for God's sake, treat that woman very, very well. Because she's so talented, and she could be a really, really, really good hand to have at the upper mid card of your card, Matt.
Yeah, this was terrific, and we've seen Zena. She's been doing what I'm calling the two-step German suplex. She started this, and she did it here to Saida. Of course, Saida took it as well as you can. I mean, looked great, looked destructive again. It was landed on the top of her neck, the safe spot. We've also seen Zena, because she uses the double knees, the Thunderstruck. Shout out to AC/DC, my favorite AC/DC song, by the way. Which, by the way, Andy had her Lance Storm and ECW came out to Thunderstruck, just for your So, do you want to go? We're going back to the ECW themes from an hour and a half ago. So there you go. But anywho, so we've been seeing different variations of her getting into it. We've been seeing it from the fireman's carry. We've been seeing it from the torture rack. And in this show, she did a pump handle into it, which was really cool and really fluid. We knew we were going to get chops in this match. We knew we were going to get hard hitting. They'd let it build a little bit, and then we got the chops back and forth. We got Saida's explosiveness, but ultimately it was just seeing just a little bit too much to overpower the Muscle Gorilla, getting the win. I thought this was terrific. I had this at 4 stars, and then Zena grabs the microphone and sets up her next challenge.
Yeah, her versus May Sarah for the high speed title. Not something that I thought I'd see. Something that I am very, very excited for. I think it's that sort of size difference between the two, and also the fact that Zena is so much more powerful than May, and the fact that May is going to have to adapt her game to wrestle someone like a Zena, who she won't have seen in the high speed division. That's going to be a really exciting matchup. And if we are sort of building the Namba Grand Fight card on the back of Micah versus Tam for the red belt and Zena versus May Sarah for the high speed title, that's a really, really good foundation for a card. If you throw in a white belt title match, which I pitched to you earlier, I think we are probably heading for. I think it'll be a really, really, really solid card. Andy, what are your thoughts on Zena and of this match?
I really like this match. I kind of liked it a little bit more than you guys. I give it 4.25 stars. I thought the chop off was great, especially when I believe she was first. She was doing it, and then the double chop to end it, and then Zena did the same thing, the chops and the double chop to the back. And then I really like Zena's Thunderstruck move, the pump handle into the gut buster. That was really cool. I'm excited too for Zena versus May Sarah, just to see how that's gonna work. Because even though there was a little bit of fast beginning to this match, I'd like to see Zena how she does in the high speed style. And getting back to Saiya's entrance, when they showed the gorilla and like it's like King Kong muscle gorilla, that's awesome. But what's even better is her coat with the Godzilla tail going down.
It's amazing, isn't it?
That's phenomenal. I like Saida. We were doing a show. I forget which show, and I liked her then. I was like, "Who's this little muscle girl? I like her." So yeah, I really like Saya, and I hope like next year. I don't see it this year, but next year I'd like to see her like maybe challenge for the white belt.
I would be very much on board with a Sayarita white belt challenge. Very, very, and I can see it happening. There are a lot of people who are sort of upping their game to be in that picture. You've got Zena, who's already there. She challenged Micah earlier in the year for the red belt. You've got Azumi, Starlight Kid. You've got Sayarita, Hanan, all these people that are sort of getting there. And to be honest, I mean, I might be in the minority, but I would love to see Maysaya in that picture as well. Like, I don't think she should just be pigeonholed as the high-speed sort of whiz girl, for lack of a better phrase. I think she's fantastic. I think she was able to tell a really good story against Tomoka Inaba on that first night. I thought that was a fantastic match. But yes, I think that's going to be a really interesting matchup. We saw how Maysara wrestled Megan Bain, and she made that work really well. Zena, in my opinion, is perhaps a little bit more suited to Maysara because she's got the athleticism, she's got the speed as opposed to relying on the raw power, which Megan Bain does. I think it'll be a really good match. I think it's exciting because it's literally come out of nowhere. And actually, you're like, actually, I suppose that would work. Yeah, I'm excited for that. And that surprise, I think, is really, really key to that match working. Moving on, then, we move on to match number 7, which was a 10-woman tag. Neo Genesis, Starlight Kid, Azumi, Suzu Suzuki, Maysara, and Miyu Amasaki defeated the God's Eye team of Shiori Saki Kashima, Lady C, and Rani Yagami, and with a helpful dash of Risa Sera. Starlight Kid pinning Rani Yagami with the moonsault in 13 minutes and 11 seconds. Saki Kashima is the gift that keeps on giving. She is absolutely tremendous. The fact that she was outwardly ignoring Lady C and then just kept trying to be pally with Risa Sera, and even in their backstage promo afterwards was like, so this is your first time with God's Eye, but don't worry, we'll be training loads and you'll get used to it. And Risa Sera's like, I'm not part of your group. Leave me alone. She's absolutely hilarious. I love her. Her exchanges with Azumi were great, both stealing each other's roll-ups. The exchange, I thought Miyu Amasaki did a great job being absolutely pummeled for the first section of this match. We had the double giant swing, but the most important thing to come out of this match, and Andy, I need your opinion of this. What is your opinion of Lady C's brand new chaps?
I gotta say, her chaps, well, not the best. An improvement from what she did have. Much so if she wants to be like tall space cowboy, that's okay because it's better than what she did have. Well, still not. She didn't by any means. She did look a lot better. And this match right now, so I have 5 favorites in Stardom. Matt knows one of them, and there's 3 in this match. Can you guess which 3 are out of my top 5 favorites in this match?
Okay, so I'm gonna go Starlight Kid because she's everyone's favorite because she's awesome. No, what?
No,
okay.
But 2 of my favorites are kind of maybe a little. It's not Lady C. A little. Go ahead, Matt. Say one of my favorites who's in this.
No, I want to see if Rob can get this. Let's see. Okay. You got to get 3 people here, buddy. You got to get 3 people here. And I knew once Andy started getting this started, I'm like, this wrestler is going to be your favorite wrestler, and you're going to steal all of her moves within 2 weeks. And I was absolutely right.
I have been looking at her finisher, and I am going to do it next time I wrestle.
Which is next week. We're at the comic book show. Yeah.
On the God's Eye team, there was 1, and then on the other team, there was 2.
Okay, so Shiori.
Yes.
yeah.
Is it Shiori's moves you're going to steal?
No,
that's me. That's me.
Other team. Although Shiori's great, and Shiori's one of the people when I first watched her, I wasn't like immediately drawn to her, but then as more she wrestled, I was like, wow, she's really, really good, and I really like her. The person's move I'll be stealing is on the other team.
Is it Azumi?
Yes, it is. How about that? She's my favorite wrestler in Stardom, and I will be doing the Azumi Sushi sooner than later.
She's incredible. She really is. Like, just she's someone who I can actively see being Red Belt champion in 18 months.
Again, someone that's coming out of this 5-star, like kind of as a bona fide main eventer, especially since the quarterfinals. Like, it has to be her. Like, and that, especially that show on 8 when she did the opening, the 3-1, I call it that, and then she wrestled Micah. Like, she has to be the MVP of this. But
4 times, 4 matches.
Yeah, one more on that team. You can get it.
Is it Suzu?
It is Suzu. How about that?
Yes.
I really like Suzu from her. She looks like a metal girl, so I think that's why I like her, but just her style and every match. And her versus Hanan is the only 5 stars I gave out for this whole 5-star match. I just thought was tremendous. It was really good. And she's my top 5. And the other one would be Momo, who was in this match. Momo Watanabe. Yeah,
she again. I'm sensing a theme somewhat with Momo Watanabe and with Syuri. I agree. I think Azumi is certainly someone who can be considered a main eventer now. They were obviously pushing her huge in the early goings of this tournament, going 4-0, dishing out Mayu's only loss of the block. Getting that big win over Momo on the opening night as well. She's clearly trying to rely less on just being a high-speed wrestler, which I think is really important because that was how people viewed Azumi, especially during those 2 runs with the high-speed belt. People just sort of saw her as the high-speed bomb girl and very, very little else. A very talented high-speed bomb girl, but could she have, that main event style match? Could she tell the stories? And I think we've seen throughout this 5-star that absolutely she can. And every time she's given the opportunity, she knocks it out of the park. Just quickly, because I am really excited by this name. So Cyclops is better than Wolverine.
Hey.
The Neo Genesis match was so fun, but why did Risa look so lost the whole match? First of all, Andy, opinions. Is Cyclops better than Wolverine?
No. I mean, Cyclops is really good, but...
He did get the girl. He did get the girl.
He did get the girl.
So I'll give him that.
Frost, I mean, come on. I kind of like Wolverine a little bit better. But Risa looked so confused because, like, Saki was holding on to her the whole time. I like when Saki tagged in and then she held, I forget whose arm, and then someone hit it and she tagged out immediately. That's all she did. And also, the Saki music is phenomenal. It's from the Fist and North Star video game. I think it's called Battleground BGM or something like that. Because I actually Shazammed it and it worked. Her music, awesome. And Saki is a delight to watch. And this match was really good. For a 10-man, which you can be easily lost in, it was really good. I gave it 4 stars.
It was a lot of fun. And these multi-women, Stardom do multi-women better than any other promotion. And everyone got their licks in. I don't actually think, if you go back and watch, I don't actually think May Sarah was a legal person at any point in the match. I think she just sort of appeared at random points to help Suzu out. She wasn't actually tagged in at any point. What I did love about Saki was Syuri had just battered Suzu and was about to sort of do the pin. And Saki was like, no, I want to do the pin. So she tagged out. Saki did the pin. Suzu kicks out. And Saki was like, nah, I'm done now. No, someone tag. And Neo Genesis taking everyone off the apron. So she was left on her own and was like, oh no. And that was when the Azumi roll-up started happening. So she adds such a different vibe to God's Eye, who, especially in the early goings when it was primarily Syuri, Mirai, and Amisori, they were sort of seen as the stoic hard hitters, and that was it. And it sort of got a bit stale after a while. The wrestlers certainly didn't. They're awesome, but sort of the vibe got a bit stale. Saki Kashima being the coward really just added a completely different vibe to that group, and she deserves a lot of praise for that. But Matt, what do you think of this match? I imagine you enjoyed it.
Yeah, of course I did. I mean, I enjoy all of wrestling, especially Stardom. But Neo Genesis, I get such Queen Quest vibes with them. When they come out, they're just the coolest kids in the room. Like they work so well together. You got your high-speed wrestlers, you got your technicians, you got your ass kickers, you got the Miyu Amasaki who gets better and better and better each and every outing. You can break these up into singles matches, tag matches, 10-man tag matches. and it always works. Even like their teamwork, whether they're doing double teamwork, whether they're doing triple teamwork. They even hit like a 5-way corner drop kick, I think it was, to Rana Yagami, where it's just like you're getting 10 feet in your head and you're gonna like it. Like just really, really good stuff. The main part of this match that I loved the most was just the violence that we got with Suzu and Shuri. I thought that was great stuff. And then you have Azumi doing the Kishi Kasai to Saki Kashima, then Saki Kashima doing the Azumi Sushi to Azumi. I thought that was some excellent stuff. And then the last 2 or 3 minutes, you almost get like a singles match with Rana Yagami and Starlight Kid. And Rana's able to hang in there with Kid, and Kid makes sure Rana looks as good as she does, selling the strikes, getting out of certain things that Starlight Kid does, only for Starlight Kid to really break down Rana's leg, to open up the door to hit that picture-perfect moonsault for the finish. Excellent match with 10 fantastic wrestlers and a really great way for Neo Genesis to end this tournament, considering the fact that Miyu looked terrific. Suzu was the winner last year, but she didn't lose anything, by not winning the tournament this year. And obviously Starlight Kid and Azumi, they came out of this thing as constant main eventers, and May Sarah, she's right up there as well. Obviously, I would not say no to a May Sarah. May Sarah defeated Tam, so technically she does have the right to challenge for that red belt if she wants. May Sarah versus Natsupoi, Wonder of Stardom Championship match will be all sorts of awesome. But before we put the cart before the horse, we are getting May Sarah versus Zena, which I think is going to be terrific. This is a great match, and I'm glad I got enough time to tell its story. I had it at 3 3/4 stars.
So moving on then to another multi-woman Cosmic Angels, Natsupoi Soriano and Yuna Mizumori defeated the Hate Team of Tekla, Konami, and Ruaka. Yuna Mizumori getting a modicum of revenge on Ruaka for her 5-star loss, pinning her with the Supergirl in 8 minutes and 40 seconds. The spray paint made a reappearance, not as much as it did in the main event, but it still made a reappearance. It's a silly weapon, but we'll overload that. There is something brewing between Tekla and Natsupoi, and it started with Natsupoi sort of refusing a handshake with Tekla, and this, I presume, is stemming from their time very briefly. I don't think there was much of a crossover when they were both in Donna Del Mondo. So I imagine that was sort of playing on it. The more Natsupoi refused, the more Tekla got angry, and then obviously Tekla then set the hounds on her, for lack of a better phrase. But I wouldn't be surprised if, sort of post her 5-star run, Tekla came out and said, right, back to business. I've got my eyes set on someone. I think that person is Natsupoi, and I think she's coming for that white belt, Matt.
Yeah, Tekla did say when she had the heel turn back in April that she's here to kill idol culture. And Natsupoi is one of the biggest idols in all of Stardom. Now, Andy, have you heard the Meltier album by the chance?
No.
Okay, think of the greatest albums ever all time. Like Led Zeppelin 2, Led Zeppelin 4, Master of Puppets.
Back in Black.
Rest in peace. Think of those, and it's like, right along there. The only thing is there's only 3 songs, and you wish there was 33, because it's just like, yeah. Can you imagine if Master Puppets was just Sanitarium, Master Puppets and Battery? It'd still be great, but like, where's the other five songs? But regardless, Tekla's whole, I just did that to pop Rob, but Tekla's whole
just quickly, Matt.
Yes,
Can
sir,
you
yes.
What's the track listing of the Meltier album?
There is Tear Tales. There is Double Frontier, and then there is, oh my God, why can't I think of the last song? Flowing. Yes, there it is. So,
What is wrong with you?
I do a Stardom podcast. In the words of Bobby Heenan, I'm a broadcast journalist, and I treat myself like
you do.
That's right. I treat myself. I'm going to be the best goddamn person at a part of my language. Sorry to take the Lord's name in vain. See, now you ticked me off, Rob Goodwin. Now you ticked me off. Yes, Andy Header. Go ahead. You're pointing the finger at me like you're hulking up. What's up?
That's how serious he is about this album.
That's right, Meltier. Wait till you hear it, buddy. You're going to be like, no, yeah, there you go.
Transformative, man. Transformative.
Yeah, you're going to be loving it. Anywho, back to the seriousness. Yeah, this match did, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's Soriano, it's Natsupoi. We get some Soriano teamwork, and they're terrific here. Konami, she's really on her stuff, too. We get the spray can stuff, but not too much. The 2 main parts of this match is we're building to Tekla and Natsupoi for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. which is great because Natsupoi, she's got to get some successful title defenses under her white belt. See what I did there? So I think Tekla is a really good way to start the runoff. We know we're eventually getting to the Hazuki and Natsupoi match. And I don't want them to rush that because I really want that to be Hazuki's crowning moment where she wins the Wonder of Stardom Championship. And we've done hot potato enough with the Wonder of Stardom Championship. Let Natsupoi's championship run breathe and build Hazuki up, whether that's the end of the year, Dream Queendom, or something we spill over into 2025. I don't know, but I'm all here for it. And then, like, again, that's the main part of this match. And then we get almost a mini match with Yuna and Ruaka, with Yuna, who ate a whole bunch of L's this tournament, but gets a measure of revenge, like you said, partner, getting the out of the double choke bomb, tripping up Ruaka and hitting the Superwoman. Super fun match, easy story to tell, as now we're getting into our last 3 big championship matches. A good way to bridge going into that Rina versus Hina match. 3.5 stars for me. And again, I think this is the perfect build up to start building up Tekla and Natsupoi for the Wonder of Stardom Championship.
Mr. Hedder, what was your opinion of this?
I kind of agree with what you guys said. I like to maybe a little bit more. I get 3 and 3.75, 3 3/4. It was a good match. I kind of like the team of Ruaka, Tekla, and Konami, the 3 blondes who are not actually blonde.
3 non-blondes.
I see what you guys are saying about Tekla challenging for the white belt. I can really see that happening. I think Tekla and Yuna Mizumori are 2 coming out of the 5-star looking much better than they went in. Tekla just really looks like a star. More than that in the best year and best hair later. And then Yuna really showing a lot of confidence, like having these matches, even though she did she won 1, I think. She's
0.
0, yeah, she didn't win any.
Her and Tam, Cosmic Angels, they struggled a little bit.
Well, then maybe she'll win the red belt because if Tam didn't win any and then won the red belt, this match it was good, but I kind of like the last match that meant a little bit more than this match. But this match was good. Nothing really more to say than what you guys said. And also, Sayori is also one of my favorites. I'm gonna say that.
Moving on then, let's have a look at the first of our 2 title matches. This was the Future of Stardom Championship with Rina, the champion, defeating Hina with the Hydrangea in 14 minutes and 28 seconds. It's been a record-breaking reign in every sense of the word for Rina. She's been the champion for 477 days. She was tied for the most title defenses with 10 with her sister Hanan, but obviously with the victory here over her other sister Hina, she has overtaken that with 11 successful title defenses. It's a gargantuan reign. This, in my eyes, is her best defense. I thought this was a tremendous match. I think they've done very, very well building to this match. And Matt, we were saying on our finals preview that I can't remember the last time a Future of Stardom Championship match was afforded the same build as this one here. I'm very surprised that Rina won. However, with the championship, I was under the impression that Hanan had actually only defended it 9 times. I didn't realize it was 10. So it does make sense for Rina to win and break that record. However, I just don't see who she beats now. I can't think who else there is left, because I'm pretty sure, in fact, we'll have a look at who she's defended this title against. So we've got Lady C, Waka Tsukiyama, Azusa Inaba, Hanako, Yuzuki, Miyu Amasaki, Moran, Sayaka Kurora, Nanami, Rani Yagami, and Hina. So aside from Aya Sakura, and no disrespect to Aya Sakura, if Hina isn't dethroning Rina, Aya Sakura isn't dethroning Rina. I don't see, Matt, who else beats her.
Maybe I know she already has a successful title defense against Rani Yagami, but Rani Yagami's got a lot of steam on her now coming out of this tournament, and then she had Catch the Wave as well. So maybe that's a way you go with it. You build Rana back up, or you build Aya or Sayaka up. I mean, that's a possibility, but it really just seemed like the way this match is being built, very much like the Tam Tora match. You're kind of like, okay, I'm kind of seeing the way this is going to be built, and we're going to see the evil hate group get their comeuppance here, and Hina's going to defeat Rina, and Rina's going to be stuck on her older sister Hanan's record with title defenses. And I thought this was really cool as this match was building up. They show Hana basically watching in the crowd, like kind of in tears, watching your two younger sisters just beat the daylights out of each other. But they did a great job building this matchup on all the underneath tags in the 5-star Grand Prix, because you would see a lot of flash falls back and forth. And that's what we got here. It's like, it's going to be the ghetto clutch. Is it going to be the jackknife? Is it going to be the diving knee bomb? Is it going to be Hina's new finisher, that modified jackhammers? All things back and forth. You didn't know which way it was going to go. And then obviously Rina, she's very heavily influenced by the late great Hana Kimura. We touched upon that. Rina was a part of Tokyo Cyber Squad back in 2019. So she uses the hydrangea quite a bit. She uses the hydrangea bomb. And part, you take notice that she tried to go for the package pile driver, the Tiger Lily, in this match.
I did,
which
yeah.
I don't think she's ever done before. Again, between me and you, we've seen every one of Rina's matches from probably 2020 up until today, and I don't think she's ever done the Tiger Lily before. Now, she didn't hit it, but I was like, ooh, she's really going deep into the bag of tricks to try to get this win here. But ultimately, it's the second variation of the hydrangea, the second attempt, to put Hina away. And the fact this one almost went the full 15 minutes just goes to show that Rina, and we saw it with her match with Manami, that she's able to go the 15 minutes and can carry a match and have a good match. And this one was just 32 seconds short of the time limit. And these two put a great match on. And again, it was a very surprising finish. I had it at 4 stars. I thought it was terrific. And I'm interested to see not only what Rina does, like who her next challenger is, but like now what are they going to do with Hina? You know, like now where do you go with her? Because it really seemed like now we can go off and do a whole bunch of new stuff with Hina as the future Stardom champion. And maybe she doesn't get the 7 or 8 defenses. Maybe she gets to 4 or 5 and then drops it to a Rana Yugami, or drops it to a Rianne whenever she's ready to join a faction, or a Waka. I mean, who knows? But yeah, it's interesting to see what they're going to do with Hina now. But then again, I guess it is back in school for these kids, huh?
Yeah, that's true. It's an interesting one because they seem to have put so much steam behind Hina. And the post-match promo that she cuts in the ring seems to sort of allude to the fact that she is going again for this belt at some point. So does Rina simply hold on to it until Hina's ready for another chance? If that's going to be the case, why not just have Hina do it here? Very strange. Very good match. I think probably one of, if not the best of Rina's defenses. I think these two read each other very, very well, as you would hope from having a ridiculous amount of singles matches against each other. And as Kirsty pointed out, they've probably been doing this in their bedroom since they were like 6. So they've probably had like thousands of singles matches if you count them. So obviously it worked very, very well. I agree with you, Matt. I've never seen Rina go for the package pile driver before, ever. So the fact that she was willing to break that out pays testament to just how far Hina pushed her. Andy, what did you think of this?
This was my first time really seeing Hina and Rina have a singles match. So I was a little confused as to who was who, but Rina had... what is the age difference between them? Because they look almost identical.
They're twins.
They are twins.
I didn't know that. So... Okay, makes sense. Yeah, this match was really good. I liked the jackhammer, and I wrote down crazy submission because I didn't know the name of it, and now I know it's the hydrangea. But yeah, no wonder they had a good match. I gave 4 stars as well because if they've been wrestling like RC said since they were kids in the bedroom, like we all were.
Absolutely.
Match. This was like, oh, we did that. We did that. We were 10, you know. So yeah, a very good match, and I liked it. And I haven't really seen too much future of Stardom matches, so we'll have to. Maybe add that to some shows we break down and watch on the
Hanan versus Tomoka Inaba in 2022. That is, to me, that's the bar. And Sayaka Kamatani and Micah, partners. Sayaka Kamatani and Micah have fought they were in the finals of this, the finals of the Cinderella tournament, the white belt, red belt, future belt. Yeah, the Saya versus Micah is a good one as well. But my go-to is always, if you want a future Stardom Championship match, Hanan versus Tomoka Inaba.
Wrote it down.
So they have wrestled 13 times, by the way, in singles competition. Jason Camp says Rina as a new leader of hate is the biggest winner of the faction tonight. I could certainly see that happening soon.
She's the only one that won. She is the only one that won. Very, very interesting. Right, I suppose we better talk about Tam.
World of Stardom Championship match. Tam Nakano defeats Natsuko Tora with the Twilight Dream in 27 minutes and 12 seconds to become the 19th World of Stardom champion, becoming only the third person to hold the World of Stardom Championship more than once, behind Io Shirai and Mayu Iwatani. The loss, of course, does condemn Natsuko Tora to being the first red belt champion since Alpha Female in 2013 to lose the belt without a successful title defense, and with a reign of just 34 days, also condemns her to being the shortest reigning champion in red belt history. Yes, Colin, you did say that anyone would listen when Tam was beating Tora. Yeah, you did tell me, and I refused to listen. Now,
you're the only one, buddy. There was a lot of people online that are like, the way this is being built, it's going to get to a Tam win. You're like, I don't see it. And I'm like, I think it's pretty. I mean, I can be wrong, but I'm like, I think it's pretty clear that Tam is winning because she's eating all these L's, and even on the press conference, she got her ass kicked. So, like, what do you do with her? But you made a good point. It's like, why would you take the belt off? And I'm like, ultimately, the belt's on Tam, and we're going to Tam and Micah. So it's just like, hey, I'm all for that. I am all for that. Okay, he just bit his fist.
Then why?
I think I know where you're going.
So you're building to Tam versus Micah, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why not have Tam win the 5-star?
I agree.
And just wrestle Micah.
I agree. Go ahead, Andy. Andy wants to talk. I agree, but go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I'll tag you.
Tora is a completely just Colin's just sit in the corner, Rob.
No, go ahead, brother. Let it out. Let it out.
It's such an unnecessary stopgap because all you've done here is completely sacrifice all of the heat and all of the momentum that Tora had with the beating of Micah just to piggyback the belt back onto Tam. Why do that? Why not have Micah hold the belt and then have Tam win the 5-star and have them wrestle at Ryogoku?
I agree.
You've already said that Tam versus Micah is the money match, and I agree. And I also agree with the point that I know Matt is going to make. Tam is far more capable in ring than Tora is. I know that, and I am fully on board with Tam being champion. I don't mind that. It's not Tam being champion that I have the issue with. It's not the match that I have an issue with, though I do have a slight issue with it, but I am going to talk about that in a moment. I just do not understand the booking of this. Like, you completely halted Micah's fantastic reign with the red belt to put the belt on your biggest heel, the first heel champion since Kagetsu, and you have a chance to do something completely different. Have her run through 3 or 4 title defenses, just battering people, really build the heat behind her, really utilize the fact that hate have strength in numbers. Have her do that. Build her up as a heel. Okay, you can do that. We've seen that done. And then have a Tam or something. I just do not understand where does Tora go now? Like, nobody is going to take it. And I know that people are going to say, yeah, well, she's one of an elite group to be red belt champion. Yes, to a certain extent, I agree with that. But to win that belt and then not be in the 5-star at all, and effectively, and I know that I'm going to sound really, really cynical here, but playing second fiddle to the future of Stardom build in a lot of those tags, which she was doing, because it was all about Rina and Hina, and then lose it in your first defense after being hit on the leg with a chair once in the build-up. Tam has had 6 matches worth of having her knee torn to pieces and the stuff with Tora before that. Tora got hit on the leg with a chair once in the build. Once. And suddenly she's sounding like she's got no ACL.
We know why.
And then suddenly it's a knee versus knee match, both in equal pain. What is that about?
That chair believed in Tam. But it looks like Andy wants to talk. So go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I want to hear your interest. I want to hear your thought on this because obviously me and Rob have all these years invested into this, and you're the good point, Colin. Good point. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, but go ahead. I'm going to shut up now because I know Andy. It looks like he wants to talk. Go, brother. What you got for us?
Rob makes a lot of good points, and so the moment Tam wins the belt, I was like, okay, she lost every match in the 5-star, right? And she's getting beat up and beat down, and in the tag matches, and like she wins the belt, and then I was like, why did Micah lose the belt? When, like it would be different if it was like the 80s, and we got to get the belt off of Hogan to put it on Warrior, but we don't want to wrestle. We don't want to have them wrestle WrestleMania 6. So I understand, like, if it was like, we can't have a face beat a face, but here it doesn't matter. So like, Micah,
you're wrestling in 2 weeks anyway.
keep the belt, and we didn't have to put it on Tora, unless maybe Tora is like slightly hurt, and they put it on her not knowing, and she's like, hey, I'm kind of hurt and I can't keep the belt. Like, I don't understand why you'd flip it to her just to flip it to Tam when Tam could have just won the 5-star and then challenged Mike, which is where we're probably gonna go anyway. So I get it. It doesn't make any sense at all, unless, I mean, but again, this guy is fairly the new the not Kazuchika Okada. And I mean, he did very well for the 5-star, but I'm puzzled. Why did Micah? Because like I said, first thing, I'm fairly new to Stardom, and I said there's more steam in the title reign. It should have ended. I don't know why she lost the belt to give it to Natsuko Tora, who now she's always gonna be like, oh, she had the belt for a month and then she lost it. She didn't even defend it. So like, it kind of doesn't make any sense. But I mean, I'm glad Tam's champion, but I still, if I had my way, Micah wouldn't have lost the belt. I mean, even if you want to, put Micah on the 5-star and have her win it with the belt, and then she gets to pick her challenger. There you go. If that's what you want. It seems like they wanted Micah to win the 5-star, but I don't know. But anyway, this match, as we didn't even talk about the match itself a little bit yet, it was very slow in the beginning, and like Rob said, the equal, like, my leg hurts, your leg hurts, and it was a lot of that. And then I believe there was 52 run-ins. I think came in and hit Tam at some point.
How dare you?
Yeah, no.
How dare you, sir?
A lot of run-ins and stuff. Like, the match was still good, but this was more an old school storytelling match of like, can the babyface overcome this big heel? Can she win? She has all this like triumph and tragedy when she went through, like, she lost. Can she win the big one here? And then she does win the big one, but then like, I'm sure I'm not the only one. As soon as she won, it's like, why did Michael lose? Like, I don't know. So but still, the match, I put it at, let me see here as I turn my page, I have it at 4.25 because the first half of the match was really slow, and then we did get going, but then everyone did all the different interference. And then I remember, Matt, you were saying the other day about someone just watching their partner getting beat up and they didn't do anything to like help out at all. Like, Natsuko's right there, and like, they're cheating, and she's just kind of like, yeah, Tam, come on. And then finally Sayori leaves commentary to come down, and it's like, you should have been a little bit sooner there, all these bad guys. But yeah, the interference and the slowness of the first half of this match kind of brought it down, but I still gave it 4.25. It was still a really good storytelling match, and Tam wins the title. So that's my thoughts.
Partner, I totally agree. And again, I'm sure everybody knows I'm the biggest Tam fan in the world. Micah still should be champion. What Micah has done with that championship, and I've been talking about it since the end of the spring, where it's just like, okay, like, Micah's the champion because Tam got hurt at the end of last year, and then it came down to her and Suzu, and like, let's go with Micah. And I kind of figured it's going to be the build for Saya, and then they turned Saya heel, and it seems like we're still getting there one way or another, which I'm fine with. But I still think Micah should be champion. Micah's done an unbelievable job with that belt, not only from a work rate perspective, but building up other talent in this title reign and drawing money as well. She's done terrific. I mean, look what she did with Zena in a main event. Not only was it great, but now Zena's the main eventer, and it drew money against Zena, who's somebody that's never proven main eventer before. So I totally agreed. To me, it kind of just didn't make sense why Tora had the short reign, but the way the match was very much like Konami when I told you, like, Konami's turning heel because they planted the siege. Like, it doesn't make sense. And I'm like, I know, but they planted the seeds. They plant the seeds for Tam to win the belt here. They really, really did. My thing with Tora is a good to a great wrestler. But in order for you to hold the World of Stardom Championship, this isn't like how it was with the WWF 15 years ago, where it's just like it's flip-flopping, and even WCW with David Arquette, blah, 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 blah. This is the most important belt, in my opinion, of all of wrestling. You need to be not a great wrestler, and I think Tora is a great wrestler. You need to be excellent to a completely different level, like an EO, like a Kairi, like a Mako Satomura, like a Tam, Julia, Shiri, Utami, Mayu. Those are all wrestlers that are on another level. And Natsuko Tora, when she won the belt, I was like, I wonder if she can be that wrestler that can get a match to the next level. This match for a red belt match was not the next level until Tam got on the offense. We're targeting the leg, and I've been saying this on the underneath matches. Tora puts Tam in these leg holds that are so offensively bad to a company that have people that do great submission work, like a Momo Watanabe that is in your faction, like a Starlight Kid, like a Shuri,
like a Konami,
exactly, that are in your faction. That's like, and again, Tora is the red belt champion. So kayfabe, she's supposed to be the best wrestler in this company, where she's like fourth best in her group. And when it comes to these submissions, like every time she lacks in that Grand Deathlock, which is a great name for a hold, you're like, I can see the holds in it. Like, it's easy for anybody to get out. Like, God bless Tam. Tam either should have got bonused for selling that way, or she should have got yelled at saying, how can you sell that? Because it was god awful. Like, these submission holds Toras are putting on are just beyond terrible. I'm sitting there going, I don't believe that for 1 second Tam is in pain. God bless Tam for emoting to get that across and getting the crowd involved, because Tora has nothing there. There's no hold there that she has. It's awful. And then we see Momo doing the Grand Deathlock to Mayu and Korakuen Hall. I'm like, that's how it's supposed to look. Like, Momo should be like, hey, Tora, like, this is it right here. Like, so the match, again, slow, and I'm with you, partner. I gave it 4.25 stars, which is still a great rating. But for a World of Stardom Championship match, I don't remember a time that I gave a rating that low. That's how high I rate this belt. It's the most important belt, in my opinion, of all of wrestling. It's the slow build. Tam starts building herself up, and Tam is able to get the crowd in with her selling. Tam fires back. We get some great stuff. And then we see Tam hitting and I mentioned to Rob, I said, I'm really worried because I know Soriano's on commentary, because they made mention the day before Soriano's going to be on commentary for the last 3 matches, that she is going to turn on Tam, because everybody seems to be turning and going to hate. But when they showed that the booth was all the way like higher up, not on ringside like usual, I was like, okay, maybe we're okay, but what about Natsupoi? I was like, or maybe one of the younger, yeah. I don't know, because the Konami thing didn't make sense. The Sayaka Kamatani thing made no sense whatsoever, even though Sai is making it work in tenfold, which goes to show you what a great talent Sayaka Kamatani is. So it's like, I don't put anything past anybody turning heel and going with hate. So Tam hits the Twilight Dream, 1-2, the ref gets pulled. Because the way the camera was, and we have all the members of Cosmic Angels and all the members of Hate on the outside, and I was like,
did you think it was Soriano?
I thought it was Natsupoi, because I know Soriano was up on the gimmick, right? I thought it was Natsupoi. Then we saw, I think it was Konami. I'm like, okay, all right. Then we get the big brawl, and then we see Soriano running down all the way from the booth, and I'm like, oh, what's she gonna do? Again, because I don't know, because this is the way they have us trained now, which ultimately is frustrating, but it's kind of genius, because you don't know. So she comes in, she's taken apart, boom, boom, boom. She's helping even the odds. And again, I made this mention before, when all these members of Hate are beating somebody up that's in the match and there's seconds out there just standing there. I made this the point that me and Rob are at a bar. Rob's waylaying on some guy. 3 of his friends come in, they jump Rob, and I'm just like, yeah, buddy, you got it. You got this. And then when the cops come in and break it up, like, dude, what'd you do? Those 3 guys jumped me. I'm like, yeah, I was helping you out. I was cheering you. Now what Soriano did added so much to this, because say me and Rob parked the car and we're like, there's these 2 bars that we're going to go to. And Rob's like, I have friends at the Natsupoi bar. I'm going to go there. I said, hey, buddy, I'm going to go to the Soriano bar.
I want to go to the Natsupoi bar. That sounds amazing.
I'm going to go to the Tam bar. Right, because I have friends there. And then like, hey, why don't we meet an hour at Soriano's Cheesesteaks across the street? I'm like, that's great. Okay, buddy, have fun. I'll see you in an hour at Soriano's cheesesteak place. I'm in there 10 minutes I'm having a good time, having a couple drinks. Somebody from Natsupoi's bar comes over and says, hey, Matt, 3 guys just jumped Rob. So I run from one bar to the other to help Rob out. That's what Soriano did. Considering the fact that some of these wrestlers are watching their leader or whatever getting beat up, and like, yeah, come on, where Soriano just sprinted. She comes down, she cleans house, boom, 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 boom. Now we're at a fever pitch. A lot of this match was a slow build. Again, working the leg work. from both wrestlers. You see Tam fire from time to time, Tora getting some good looks in. Again, it lost the believability with me with the below average leg work of Natsuko Tora. Again, Sherry's right there. Sherry's right there. Ask her how to put a hold in. That's it. Like, it's not shoot style. It's a work, right? Just make it look believable. And again, God bless Tam for selling. Again, Tam should either got bonus or she should have got fined for selling that. One or the other, because there was nothing there. Anywho, so then all of a sudden everybody's getting boom, boom, boom. Like, the finish is happening. And tag partner, I'm going to tag you on this one because you know that you want to end your match, your championship match, at the highest point possible. And now the crowd is really invested because now we got everybody brawling. Natsupoi everybody's on the outside. The ref gets pulled. Natsupoi goes to the top. And she's got one foot in front of the other. And she's going to go for the Furial gift on the outside for a dive. But she keeps looking at Tam. And again, they have me conditioned. Can't trust anybody because everybody's turning. And I'm like, son of a gun, Natsupoi, because she keeps looking at Tam, is going to jump and hit Tam. I thought about that for 3 seconds. She hits the Furial gift. Huge pop. Tam hits the spin kick. Ref comes back. She goes for the violent screwdriver. Now, and I know, Andy, you didn't see this, but last year, Tam got hurt was in her match with Tora. She blew her knee out she hit the violent screwdriver on Tora, but didn't hit it all the way. It looked disgusting. So she goes for the violent screwdriver, and I was like, this is where Tam blew her knee out and had to relinquish the belt last year. I think it was October. She goes to pick Tora up. Tora can't get up. I'm like, oh, geez, I hope Tam doesn't get hurt here. Tora fires up, and when she fires up, Tam's like, I had enough of this. Spin kicks Tora clean in the face. Tora feeds the back. Now she has her for Twilight Dream. And I'm like, if Tora doesn't get out of this, this needs to be the finish because we just had the big brawl. We had the ref pulled, the big brawl. Natsupoi hits the big dive on the floor to everybody. You get the big pop. We need to take this home now because this is the highest we have the crowd. So I'm thinking the only way Tora's not losing if she blocks this. And all of a sudden you see Tam with the arc on the Twilight Dream. And 2 things came across my head. This is the perfect finish. And I literally yelled at 6 a.m. in my living room going, count the fall now. Daichi, count the fall now. Tora's shoulders didn't even hit. But I want Daichi already there counting the fall because I want to get out of this Tora run, right? I want to get out of this Tora run because she's not a believable champion for me. She hits the Twilight Dream. And I'm like, this is the finish. There's nowhere to go. Soon as Tora's shoulders hit, I'm like, this is the perfect time to finish this match. Tam gets the win. And I was like, great. Now I have somebody that is my red belt champion that I know is an excellent to next level wrestler. Again, Natsuko Tora is a great wrestler. She is not next level. She does not fit that category of the other wrestlers that have held this championship belt over the last X amount of years where Tam is. Rob Goodwin, I agree with you. I agree with Colin. You should have never taken the belt off Micah. But maybe Heather's right. Maybe they were like, let's give Micah because maybe we want to pad Micah's resume. And if she is the red belt champion, maybe we shouldn't have her win the 5-star as well. Let's take the belt off her and not only have her win the 5-star, but the only wrestler to clean out the entire block. Maybe that's where they're going with it. I got no problem with it because I love Micah. I love Tam. I think we could have slow burned this a little to get this to Ryogoku. But at the same time, we can have Tam and Saya. We can have Tam and Mayu. Maybe Micah wins the belt, which, again, they shouldn't take the belt off her, but now we're hot potato with the belt again. I don't know what happens in 2 weeks. I'm intrigued. Not only am I intrigued, again, Heather, you're going to love this one. I watch 99% of these Stardom shows live as they happen, 2 or 3 in the morning. The night before, I'm going to see Mudvayne and Megadeth. So I literally might be coming into my house an hour of sleep and turning this bad boy on. And I'm ready to go, buddy, because let me tell you something. Mike and Tam is going to be violent and peace sells, but who's buying?
I want to segue. But also, speaking of violent, Tam busted open her chin at some point.
Yeah, that was a great visual after the 3 count because Tora only got a little bit of the mist in Tam's face. When Tam ducked, she got a little bit. So she literally had blood, sweat, and tears on her face. It was a really great visual. After the 3 count, you had a little bit of, obviously, the sweat, a little bit of the dirt from the outside, a little bit of the mist, and then her chin busted open. And then, of course, Tam's crying because that's what Tam does. So it was a really cool visual after she got the 3 count. I thought that was really, really cool. And then we have Natsupoi. Rob Goodwin, what are we calling Tam?
Oh, there you go. Andy's got it over. Natsupoi. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Natsupoi. Oh, God, I don't know.
Well, Soriano's got 2 belts as well, even though I think she's losing that back to Miko Iwata, I think, next week. But neither here nor there. And there's a really cool picture. We had all the Cosmic Angels the three big ones, Poi, Tam, and Soriano, all with their 2 championship belts. So that's really cool. And again, it'll add so much more. Poi and Tam are the red and white belt champions going into tag league, and if they have Mel Tier as the tag team as opposed to Sayori Poi.
Just hello, Orchard, by the way. What do they do with hate now? That's my big thing. Again, I have no problem with Tam being the champion. I think if you wanted a heel champion, why on earth did you not just have Micah lose it to Momo at All-Star Grand Queendom?
Yep. She's a better worker, clearly. More believable. Yep.
And let's be honest, no offense to Tora, but Momo Watanabe deserves it.
Earned it.
That's my big thing. Like we've created this super heel group which has effectively just been a vehicle to turn Sayaka Kamatani heel, isn't it? Let's be perfectly honest. That's the only reason we are focusing on this group is because we've turned Sayaka Kamatani heel. However, you have sacrificed all the heat coming out of this group because I agree to a certain extent with what you've said, Matt, about Tora not being capable of working a red belt style at that higher level. I understand that. However, when you have got a heel group that has 843 members, you don't have to. She should have had 1, 2, maybe even 3 title defenses where she uses the numbers advantage.
Like Hogan did, like Flair did.
Like, you've literally got a group of thugs around the ring. That's what their point is. Why have you not just had, Tam hits the Twilight Dream, have Tekla attack the ref, DQ? Or, you've got Tora versus Micah, and again, Saya pulls the referee out again. You can have people help Tora to win, and it continues to build hate as this unstoppable force, and then have Tam beat her at Dream Queendom or whatever. Having her lose here, not only does it make Tora look stupid, it also makes hate look completely ineffectual because they were all at ringside.
Except for Kamatani.
And no disrespect, but Natsupoi is yay high and weighs nothing. Like, Sayori Anu was 4.5 miles away. It took her 3/4 of an hour to get to the ring. Sayaka Kurura and Aya Sakura, I don't think realized what was going on. I don't even think they realized a match was happening. So,
wow.
You've got Rina, Ruaka, Konami, Tekla, all at ringside. How has Tora not won this match? How was it not? I did think at one point he was getting the time limit. I was like, that's bold before the 5-star final. It's not Tam being champion that I have an issue with, much as I would love to say it is, Matt, just to wind you up. It's not.
You're not raining on my parade, brother. You're not raining on my parade because I got to give you the what happened when I told my wife this morning. Which that's how we're gonna end the segment. That's the high point. You got to end on the high spot.
Yeah. Go ahead. We'll get Andy in doing the 3 count straight away. That is my problem. The fact that you have built hate for a month, and I do not know how they recover from this. I do not know how you build them to a point where they are taken any more seriously than Oedetai were. Because we thought that hate was going to be the rebrand that made them more of a serious, violent threat. And really, they just look like chumps. Like, you've got Konami, who's now a Poundland Banksy, just trying to spray paint everything in sight and missing everyone. You've got Ruaka.
Stormtrooper Konami.
Absolutely. The worst aim I've ever seen of anyone.
Stormtrooper Konami. There's Ralph's next shirt he's going to design Konami with the Stormtrooper.
I love that. I mean, she couldn't hit a barn door with a shovel. You've got Tekla, who's this violent badass, like kicking people's head in, throwing them into chairs. Apart from when she's grabbing hold of Tam, and apparently Tam is the slipperiest person of the world, who, by the way, do you have Quality Street in America? Is that a thing in America?
He was talking about ladies of the night when he was I text
No,
Rob.
no, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. That's not what it was.
I thought that's what you were. Let me give some context to our listeners then.
No.
Oh, okay. I apologize. So what happened was Tam come now. You everybody saw Tam's new gear, and I would text Rob. I said, "Dude, there's no way she's not winning the championship. Look at her. Look at her." And then you said, so I forget what you said, but I thought it was British slang for a lady of the night. And I texted you back and I said, "How dare you?" I'm glad we're having this conversation live on air. So what does that mean then, buddy? I apologize.
No, Quality Street are like wrapped sweets in a tin. And her gear, I'll get a photo up. I'm sorry, this is going to be.
I thought
really...
he meant a lady of the night, and I was very upset with him. This is going to show you how much that I love him. The fact that I'm going to come back on the show and kick ass. Okay.
Not at all. Right.
Well, what do I always tell you? I'm wrong at least 5 times a day, buddy. So the immortal words of Gorilla Monsoon. Huh. Excuse me.
Right. We're gonna get we're gonna share my screen, and I'm gonna show you what a Quality Street is.
This is the first time that we're.
So these are Quality Streets.
Oh, like the grandma's candy.
Exactly, and that is what her gear looked like.
Oh, I thought you said Quality Street, like
and stuff.
Like a lady of the night. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I apologize, Mr. Goodwin. I humbly apologize, but that made it even funnier. Actually, that was a good bit.
Cannot believe you thought I meant prostitutes.
You said it.
What prostitutes have you seen that look like that?
We live in the Northeast, man. We're not that far away from New York City, right, Heather?
Yeah, fair.
And Newark, New Jersey. No offense to the fine people of Newark, New Jersey.
So we do have the candy, and Tam's gear did look good. I thought the tutu was a little too much.
Yeah, a little too fluffy.
When she came out, her hood robe was awesome, and her light up staff, she looked like she was straight out of Final Fantasy. And for any Final Fantasy fans, Final Fantasy X Lulu, she looked just like Lulu. Okay.
I love it. That's amazing. Yeah, it did beg the question, how many ruffles is too many ruffles? But either way, anyway, she's the champion. I don't like what's happened with Hay. I think this entire sort of arc was unnecessary, but there we are. Tam is your champion. Tora is the shortest reigning World of Stardom champion at just 34 days, beating out the previous record. And Matt, I'm going to test you now. So Alpha Female was the previous shortest reigning World of Stardom champion. How many days you hold it for?
38.
I thought it was only 20 something.
43 days.
Now, speaking of Alpha Female, me and you were texting back and forth, Mr. Goodwin. This is, again, one of the many things that I love about Stardom is how all the respect and the seriousness they treat their belts. This was only the second time in the 13-year history of Stardom that the championship has changed hand on not the main event. The first time is when Alpha Female lost it to Io Shirai. The reason why it wasn't the main event, obviously, Rob, you know, is because it was Yuzuki Ayakawa's retirement match where she wrestled Yoshinko, which was a great, great match. And there's a lot of similarities because Natsuko Tora, badass dominating heel, Alpha Female, badass dominating heel. Again, no main event, it wasn't the main event, 0 successful title defenses. Io Shirai goes on to be one of the greatest of all time. Tam Nakano will go on to be one of the greatest of all time. Now, without any further ado, if you guys,
just quickly before you jump into the Amber story, which I absolutely cannot wait for. Orchard's just made a point here. Maybe they kick out Tora, but I don't see her in another faction. There was a moment post-match where there almost seemed to be respect between Tora and Tam. And I'm wondering if that sort of softening of the stance from Tora towards Tam, I'm wondering if that leads to some sort of hate shake-up, if you will. We'll see. I don't know, but I feel like I'm going to give myself a hernia if I carry on talking about this. I didn't mind the match. I gave it 4 stars. It was just everything that went along with it. But Matt, how did Amber react to your one true love becoming the World of Stardom champion?
Good? What do you say?
One true love to another, Tam and his wife.
Yeah,
there you go.
I tell you what, one of my goals for Vegas next year is to get a picture with me with Tam on my left and my wife on my right and me in the middle. That is Yes, I'm going to hedge my bets. Hey, we're in Vegas. We're going to gamble, brother. We are going to gamble.
Bloody
I don't know
hell.
if I want to. Yeah, we might be gambling my marriage. Anyway,
I
so
was
for
just going
those
to say gambling with your life there, mate.
those new to the show, for some reason, my wife doesn't like Tam, and it's part of like almost a gimmick. It's funny. We laugh about it. It's literally almost it's become a bit over the last 2 years of the show, and it's a bit almost every day in my house. It's literally to the point where I'll be watching Stardom, and my wife will walk in, either me on the podcast room or she'll walk in from doing groceries, and I don't know. I don't even time it. 9 times out of 10, Tam's in the ring. I'm like, oh, your timing's perfect. And so it's so funny. So this show, it was funny because Rob texted me halfway through this show, and he said, boy, the show's going pretty quick, isn't it? And then the last 3 matches happened. Last 3 matches took an hour and a half. By the time this show ended in our neck of the woods, up in northeastern Pennsylvania, the sun started to come out, and it was around 7 o'clock, and that's about usually the time I get up to go to the gym. So I was like, I'm already up. Let me just get my stuff, and I'm just going to go to the gym, get my workout in, and I'll take a nap because I think I stayed up to watch Momo and Mercedes, which we'll cover, I think, next week's show, which was great. So I'm running on about 3 hours of sleep, which is fine. I know what I'm getting myself into. So it's like, let me just go to the gym. So as I go in my room to start getting ready to go to the gym, my wife just starts waking up, and she's like, oh, hey, how was the show? And I look at her, and I got the worst poker face on. And then I look out the window, and I look back at her, just, what happened? I go, doesn't that sun just seem a little bit brighter? She goes, oh, no, is she the champion? I said, oh, yes. Oh, yes, she's the champion. She said, oh, that was so dumb. She goes, I don't even like Tora. Why'd they take the belt off Micah? I said, I don't know. So she's in your camp there too, Rob, but she was none too happy that the first thing that she heard when she woke up this morning was that Tam Nakano is once again the World of Stardom champion, that we're all on Tam time. We're all walking the Tam road. Again, the air is just a little bit cleaner. Our water tastes a little bit sweeter, and the sun is just a little bit brighter today. I do hope they put the belt back on Micah, though. I think she was great as champion. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that now that we know, obviously, Micah is the 5-star champion. If Micah beats Tam, which I feel like has to happen, but that's going to be another sort of flip-flopping of the title. So I don't know. If Tam does beat Micah, I do think that Mayu will be the challenger at Ryogoku at Dream Queendom, because there is the story there, isn't there? Obviously, Tam has never beaten Mayu. There's also wild rumors that Mayu might not be here next year. So,
he means Marigold, not that not that Mayu's retiring or going to. Yes, we just want a preference. We're wrestling fans, and we tend to overexpose things. So, like, what does he mean? Is Mayu going to space? Is she becoming that she might not be in Stardom?
Oh my God, Mayu in space! Christ alive,
she's already there.
Yeah, true. That's what we call Mayu land. But yeah, I think. I think if Mayu is leaving, and again, we know absolutely nothing. This is pure speculation. If Mayu is leaving, I think giving the win to Tam, if she's still champion, again, we'll do a preview episode of Namba Grand Fight, not Green Fight. I imagine that Mayu will be the challenger. If it's Micah, of course, maybe run Saya again. I mean, we've got a story built in for Tam and Saya. So yeah,
give me Mayu and Micah again. I don't care. Yeah, it's so good. Like, give me whatever. Saya, Tam, whatever. Natsupoi. Yeah. I mean, it's just insane how Sherry. What the hell?
It can't be Natsupoi. She'll be losing the belt to Hazuki. Right. So we might as well talk about the main event. We might as well talk about this 5-star final, seeing as that is why we are here. The 5-star Grand Prix 2024 final. Micah defeating Saya Kamatani with a wristlet from Michinoku Driver 2. 27 minutes and 23 seconds, making it the longest 5-star Grand Prix final in history. And also, by way of that, the longest 5-star Grand Prix match in history. Lots and lots of history between these two. Even further back than obviously the heel turn that cost her the belt in the first place. These two have wrestled for every single belt. They've now wrestled, obviously, in the 5-star Grand Prix final. They are the quintessential generational rivals, and there was such a thick feeling, a thick atmosphere of emotion just after that opening bell, when Micah and Saya are staring at each other. And Saya has been almost a pantomime villain at the start of these matches for the 5-star, or, trying to get the crowd to boo her and, very over exaggerated facials. Not here. Not here. She was solely in the match. She gave a quick sort of sneer to the crowd, but she was focused on this match. And the way we built and we built and we built, and we talked about it actually earlier in this episode about how Saya hasn't been dominated at all in this tournament. Even when Hanan beat her, it was a shock roll-up that beat her. Here, once she realized that she was struggling to deal with Micah, once she realized that she was struggling to stay on top of Micah, the old Saya Kamatani started coming out. The babyface Saya Kamatani started coming out. And Matt, you're right. She started crying at the end. And she was getting annoyed at herself for crying because it was almost showing that old Saya Kamatani weakness. And that was why she cut that brilliant promo about, if I do nothing else in Stardom, I am going to drag Micah to hell with me, which fantastic promo. So once the We Are Stardom Twitter page have got those subtitles up, go and check it out, because it is a phenomenal promo. Both the one she cuts in ring, even though that's very short, and the one she cuts backstage, both really, really good. The match itself is tremendous. Really, really good. Micah, again, has been incredible throughout this tournament and incredible throughout this year. And Matt, you're absolutely right. She has to be in conversation. When we get to the Stardom Cast End of Year Award, she has to be in the conversation for Worker of the Year alongside Maya.
Yeah, this was terrific on so many different levels. I mean, if you peel the onion back of this rivalry, this feud, and I put this out on Twitter today, that you can put this up there and it's not done yet. Clearly, we're going somewhere else by that promo. You can put this up with Io and Mayu. You can put this up with Julia and Tam. This is one of the greatest rivalry/feuds in the history of Stardom. Because if you think about it, Saya Kamatani has defeated Micah for the to retain the Wonder of Stardom Championship, and defeated Micah in the finals of the 2021 Cinderella Tournament. Micah has defeated Saya Kamatani earlier in the year to retain the World of Stardom Championship, and defeated her here in the finals of the 5-star Grand Prix. So you have Saya has 2 wins, but those 2 wins are for the secondary belt and the secondary tournament. Micah's wins are for the big tournament and the big belt. And obviously they wrestled for the future championship. They have wrestled for the artist belts. And I know they did Aphrodite versus Mahimi. So they wrestled for the goddess belts. They've wrestled for every single championship that Stardom has. Now, why they didn't pull the trigger a couple months ago and have Micah and Saya wrestle for the high-speed championship when Saya was the champion, I don't know. But regardless, no, I jest. I like how, and we've seen this with every 5-star final, is these wrestlers wrestle twice getting to the main event. And majority of these main events are bomb fests. Like the perfect example is Julia versus Tam in 2022. It's just a bomb fest because, and again, I'm going to go to Andy Header on this one. You know, when you wrestle more than once, that second match, you either go one or two ways. Either you do everything because they've already seen everything, or you slow it down to get your energy back and to bring the crowd up. And this was different. You mentioned, Rob, that this was the longest 5-star final, longest 5-star match ever. And I like the way it built and built and built. And I know that, you know, rewind a couple months ago when Hiroshi Tanahashi showed up at a random Stardom show in Corkin Hall, he did a promo afterwards backstage where I think he said he was going to be helping out with some of the booking. And it really seems like Tanahashi Okada, you remember those matches that went 30, 40, 45, and I think even one went an hour. You know, there were those matches that went well over a half an hour. If you look at the main event and co-main event, they both went over 25 minutes. And they slowed it down. They built it. Because we know that Stardom is very good when it comes to short matches. Hell, I mean, look at that match last week with Tomoka Inaba and Mayu. It went 4 minutes, and it was insane. So it's like we know we can get Stardom in short spurts. How can they do on those big, epic main events that we saw with New Japan, that we still see with New Japan, that we saw with the NWA back in the 80s, those long Steamboat Flair matches? Can we have wrestlers that can do that style? Tam and Tora was pretty good before. This was next level, because they slowed the pace down. They had time to tell their story. They were doing certain things. You would get the heat. You had the good technical wrestling. You had the heat on Micah. Micah was coming back up. They went out to the long rampway. By the way, Tora and Tam should end in double count out, right? I mean, they were on the outside forever. Regardless, they're on the outside here, right? And obviously the ref's letting it go. It looks like Mike is going to suplex Kamatani off the rampway. You're like, oh, geez, like, where's this going? Eventually, Kamatani gets out, drop kicks Micah. Micah goes to the floor. All the seconds are on Micah. You see Saya Kamatani going to the top of the rampway. And this is where Saya Kamatani turns uber babyface for the rest of this match for me. Because the first thing she does is she looks at her arm, because she broke her arm doing a similar dive. And I loved it. And I was like, how am I doing that? And then what she does, and again, I know Heather's going to back me up on this, because we do dives. And before we do dives, what do? We stomp the floor to get the crowd involved. Before Saya does the dive, she stomps the floor. I'm like, okay, I know she's doing this. One, she looked at her arm, and that tells the story of just like, screw it, I'm going to do it because this is what it means to me. So I'm going to give this to the fans. Now I'm getting the crowd involved by doing the stomping, and then she does a freaking dive 15 feet or whatever it was off that. Again, how am I booing that? Nobody's booing it. We go back to the ring, and it really just becomes almost a babyface versus babyface match, which I'm fine with. I think that's when Saya's at her best, when she's Saya freaking Kamatani. You're in the main event here. You need to be the Saya Kamatani that's been crushing it the last 2 years against Micah, that we know that's been crushing it all year as the World of Stardom champion in the majority of these pay-per-view main events. And this thing builds and builds and builds. And then we get Micah with the superplex. And then we get Saya stopping the Three Amigos. She goes for the Locomotion Northern Light suplex. Micah stops that to go to her Three Amigos. Finally gets that. And she hits another superplex, but she doesn't hang on. You know, all release, all impact with a release, all impact. Huge superplex. We get the clotheslines, we get the kickagoys, we get the striking, we get Saya with that kick trio that she does, that she ends with that 360 kick with the opponent on the mat. I mean, just back and forth, great stuff. And I thought Micah going in was going to win, but considering the fact that Tam won the championship before, now I'm like, nah, this might be 50-50 now. This might open up for Saya to win, because then you have your heel and baby face. But regardless, maybe they can still go with Micah. And then Micah goes for the Michinoku driver, and then Saya, as soon as Saya hits the Rana, and we've seen this in the previous matches before, I was like, this is genius, because it instilled 3.5 hours earlier with Saya defeating Hanan. That's how she won. The crowd's going to bite on this, because that's how she beat Hanan with the Frankensteiner. And Micah sells it perfectly. She kicks out at 2.999. I thought that was genius. And then Saya did not win that semifinal match with the Star Crusher. She hits the Star Crusher a couple times, still can't put Micah down. Micah goes for the Michinoku driver. That gets blocked. The two of them are just constantly going back and forth. Saya hits the Tornado Star Crusher. She picks Micah up at 2. And I'm like, what is this? She starts dragging Micah to the corner. I'm like, oh my goodness. And I thought she was going for the Phoenix Splash, but because she was going a face forward, she was going for the 450, the Firebird Splash, which she hasn't done in a long time, even before the heel turn. Even because she even said, I'm going to kind of tone my style down because of the arm break. So I don't think she's done the 450 maybe all year. I think she might have did it, I think, in the Micah Championship match back at the beginning of the year, but she hasn't done it in 4 or 5 months. So she goes, her and Micah are going back and forth. I'm like, we've already seen the superplex. What is going on here? And I'm like, okay, Mike, maybe Saya's going for the top rope Rana. She goes for the top rope Rana, and we only seen it once before. Partner, and by partner I mean Rob Goodwin, we were there for it. Top rope Michinoku driver. Now she did it to Megan Bain. She did it to Megan Bain, who's bigger. We're like, why would you attempt that for the first time on Megan Bain? Do it to Starlight Kid, right? Do it to Azumi.
Yeah. May Sarah.
Yeah, somebody like you're like, but it was great and it got a huge pop in the ECW arena. Saya Kamatani has taken the Michinoku driver maybe more than anybody, and she takes this top rope Michinoku driver like it was death, and she hits it. And I'm like, this is a good point for it to finish, but because Mike has taken so much abuse, I hope that she can't cover. Very much like the Utami versus Shuri match at Dream Queen to 1, where she hit, you know where I was going, partner. I'm popping you on this one, where she hits the hijack bomb, but because Shuri blitzed her with so much strikes, she's got to go all the way across the ring for the cover, and Shuri puts that one finger on the ropes. Micah is so desperate to get there, but Saya's beat her up so much, and the crowd is so invested because we have this long build and breathe. Eventually, she kicks out. We get the 2 Michinoku drivers. After that, Kamatani kicks out. Hammerlock Michinoku driver. 1, 2, 3. Not only was this a great match, and I've seen a lot of people say this was a great match if it didn't hit that next level. For me, it was, because it felt like those old Ring of Honor matches that I liked. It felt like the New Japan Tanahashi Okada matches that I fell in love with back in 2022 or 2012 up until, COVID hit. It felt like those old NWA Flair Steamboat matches in the late 90s that I just fell in love with the wrestling. The fact that they let these two wrestlers go almost a half an hour at the end of a tournament to tell their story, and it was a beautiful story, great back and forth action. This was perfect for me, what I love in wrestling. It was everything I love, and the fact there was no interference. And Rob, me and you were saying we were a little worried about this tournament because what if this becomes House of Torture stuff or the Tongans? And we only got a little bit of it. We didn't get it here. Our 5-star main event, because we had enough of it in the last match. The 5-star main event was not ruined. This was storytelling on so many different levels. Again, even the point with Saya grabbing her arm or what happened before she did the dive. It was like, screw it, I'm doing the dive. This is one of the greatest 5-star matches I've ever seen. And folks, I've seen just about all of them. This is another 5-star match for me. So if you're keeping track at home, Micah has not one, but 2 5-star matches in this night. Put her in the same breath as Shuri in 2021, Julia in 2022, Mayu in 2018. If you remember, Mayu had Momo and then Utami. And then even Micah last year where she had Mirai and Suzu Suzuki. We always talk about the great final night of the 5-star Grand Prix because the people in the main event have to wrestle not once, but twice. And the fact that Micah was able to have 2 great matches in 2 great years back-to-back last year and this year proves that she is the new backbone of Stardom. Mayu is always Mayu. And again, whatever happens with Mayu, we don't know. But looks like they're going to put all their chips in the Micah basket. And I am all for it because this was a phenomenal tournament. Not only does she have great match quality, but the fact that she swept the block. She's the only wrestler in the history of the 5-star Grand Prix to win the entire tournament. We've had, 13 world champions in Stardom, right? We've only had one person in the history of the 5-star Grand Prix to sweep the entire thing, and it was Micah. And again, we just said about 10, 15 minutes ago, why would they take the belt off Micah? Now they take the belt off Micah. If you remember that Cork and Hall show a couple days prior, she lost to Tora. She hasn't eaten many losses all year, loses to Tora twice in like 4 days in that tag match. And I'm like, how are they going to build Micah back up? Guess what, folks? They did it here. Not only did she win the 5-star, but she swept the block. She had Natsupoi, white belt champion, Hazuki, the people's champion, maybe the most important belt in all of wrestling, Rob Goodwin, the people's champion in Hazuki. She had the cheating of Ruwaka. She had the cheating of Konami. She had to go through Azumi. She had to go through Mayo, and she had to go through Sayaka Kamatani to win this tournament. Sweeps the entire thing. I mean, Mike is just, what more could I say? Again, this was fantastic. This is one of my favorite 5-star matches I've ever seen. Sayaka Kamatani is absolutely brilliant, and Micah is brilliant as well. These two together. Loved it. Again, 5 stars for me, folks.
I mean, you've said that, Matt. I mean, overall in 2024, 73 matches, 51 wins, 18 losses. But of those 18 losses, 15 have been in 6-woman tags or 8-woman tags. She's lost 1 singles match all year. She's only lost 2 tag matches all year. So you're absolutely right. The Micah losses do not come very often. Andy, I feel like Matt has probably said everything that you could possibly wish to say about any match ever in that review. But,
I like wrestling.
And Tam. But what did you think about this match, my man?
Yeah, as he broke the match down, almost move for move. And I took pictures. You can't really see it, but I took a lot of notes, but he did that probably off the top of his head. This match was really good. I liked it a lot. I don't know if it's my favorite Micah match in the tournament. I think that was probably Micah and Izumi just because I like it so much. But at the end, when she hit the first 2, well, not the top rope, but mentioned that she hit the bar, and Saya kicks out. Was like, she barely gets the shoulder. I thought that was
she's great at that. She's so good.
I was like, that's it. It's over. And then again, when Saya goes up top, I was like, here comes the Phoenix Splash. It's coming. And then she's there, and then she doesn't hit. But yeah, this match was really good. I like the dive on the outside too when they're brawling the ramp. And I agree with you. They probably should have got count out because they went out, they did the whole spot in the ramp, did the dive, and then they started counting. So I was like,
They teased a double count out, which I love a double count out. But obviously, you're not going to end your 5-star final. I just joke with that.
double count out, draw. We'll see you next year.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you for your money.
I hope you like that tour run. No, the match was very good. I didn't quite give it 5 stars, but I give it almost 4 3/4 stars. Very good match, and Matt said everything about the moves were great. Mike is great. I do. Micah's new, even shorter hair is still cool, but I like her longer hair. I also like the old gear because she reminded me of Red Sonja. And Rob, you'll agree with me on this. Her old music was fantastic, and they shouldn't.
Don't even get him started. Don't even get him started. You almost quit the podcast.
They should have took the belt off Micah, and they shouldn't have changed her music. So give her the belt, give her old music back, please, please, please. But this match was a great match and a great way to cap the 5-star. My first 5-star watching live. So and a great show. Although I do say the show on the 28th was probably a little bit better overall.
The quarterfinals. Yeah.
I rated a match on that show was 4.5. So if that's the lowest match, that's a good show. But anyway, this a great main event. I agree with everything you said, except I get 4 3/4.
Yeah, it's hard to add anything, to be perfectly honest. I do agree. I think taking the belt off Micah pales into insignificance when you take off her just absolute banger theme music. That was the real nail in the coffin for me. That was the moment I knew Stardom had died. It's no. To be fair, the new theme isn't actually that bad. I don't actually mind the new theme. But it's not as good as the old one. But yeah, this match 4.5 stars. Absolutely loved it. The storytelling that these two do together is always phenomenal. I think this was another installment of that. Obviously, following this match, we had the crowning. We had Micah call out Tam. And that match is now set for not Dream Queendom, which surprised me. It's the first time in 3 years or 4 years, sorry, that hasn't happened. It's going to happen at Namba Grand Fight. It's going to be in Edion Arena, Osaka, so still a relatively big venue. It does make me think that we are going somewhere with the Ryogoku show. And also, I don't hate it because there's a lot of heat now sort of building behind Stardom because it's been such a good tournament because of Tam winning the belt. Why not capitalize on that by getting this Micah match in as soon as possible? So I don't hate that by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously, myself and Matt will preview this show a little bit close to the date because we are just 2 weeks away from that show. So we could potentially be here in 3 weeks' time talking about how Tora no longer has the shortest reign with the red belt, which I think would be nice and poetic. Most importantly, though, lads, obviously we have a 5-star winner. Fantastic. We have a new red belt champion. Fantastic. However, that pales into insignificance because we have award season. And before we get into our breakout stars, MVPs, matches, whatever, all that insignificant nonsense, we have the Andy Hedder Award for Best Makeup and Hairstyling. So, Andy Hedder, what was your top hairstyle?
Hairstyle here we got 2. So if you listen to Patreon, ever since we started, I thought it'd be pretty cool. All these girls have really cool outfits, and they have normally really cool, colorful hair. So like, why don't I start giving awards for best gear and best hair for every match and then overall for the show? So I did. And we'll start with best hair. So there was a lot of good hair on the show. I like Susan, who just got a haircut, and she got rid of her blonde. Micah's new haircut. And then even Yuna Mizumori, she had the red and the green. Then she went to like a lime green and an orange because a lot of people got the fresh dye for the last show. But Tekla's hair with the blonde and then the braids, that was really nice, really good. But there's one favorite hairstyle I really liked. Just happens to be my favorite wrestler, Azumi's hair with the blonde and the purple under it. Oh, that is awesome hair. So Azumi gets best hair because it's purple, it's blonde over top. It just looks really cool. She looks really cool. Her gear is awesome. But we'll get to the gear. But best hair, Azumi. And
I must admit, I have to agree, Andy.
See?
Very good choice.
No, I do. Before Andy, I want to build Andy up here when it comes to gear. Andy Hedder is known, especially in the Northeast, and I'm not just blowing smoke because he's my tag partner and a really good friend. He is known for having like the best gear on the independents. He designs his own gear, and then it's 90% of it's comic related. Like obviously, me and him as a tag team, we have the Captain Marvel gear, we have the Quantum Realm gear from Avengers Endgame. You have the Spawn gear, the Gambit gear. Don't you have like half Batman, half Superman?
The Gambit gear is amazing. I've seen the Gambit gear. The Gambit gear is cool.
Spider-Gwen, Wolverine. Even when I was just doing my own stuff, I've designed my gear since I started. I've also designed some other people, our good buddies, Diamond City War Machines, and I designed a couple other people's gear. So I don't know.
He knows gear, folks. That's why I'm letting you know that we are about to give, whatever, whoever's MVP, whatever. That's neither here nor there. This is the big award, folks. This is where it all comes in. We might have to have him in after the end of the year awards, Rob, just to parachute in the last 10 minutes, who has the best wrestling gear of the year in Stardom.
Yes.
And why is it Tam from tonight's show? Anywho, buddy, without any further ado, who had the best gear in the 5-star Grand Prix?
So I have a clear winner every time this girl comes out. She looks awesome, and she looks like a total star. But first, I wrote down a couple people that I think you're really cool. Suzu, which I mentioned earlier, her gear looks very metal, kind of wastelandy, the red and black, very nice. Yuna Mizumori is half and half, where one's white and red, and the other one's black. Her gear looks really nice. And Azumi, and I mentioned on the Patreon show that her current gear, the Supersonic Cybercat gear, reminds me of Devastator from the Transformers because it's the neon green and purple, and my two favorite colors. But the one winner, the clear winner for best gear out of the whole 5-star, has to go to Tekla, because her silver and black gear with the suspenders and the straps, she looks awesome. She looks like a comic book character. She looks like she just walked out of a movie. Tekla looks like $1 million, and that's even before she gets in the ring. So Tekla wins best gear by far.
It would not surprise me if what Orchard said about maybe the Kiktora, would not surprise me if Tekla becomes the leader of Hate and gets that monster push, because she is someone who is really good in ring, and she's someone who's properly embraced that heel sort of persona and has absolutely badass gear as well. When she was part of Mafia Bella with Julia, like their gear was amazing. Right, now that we've got the important awards out of the way, I suppose we should throw some other awards out there. So let's start with our respective MVPs. Who are your most valuable players in terms of the 5-star Grand Prix? Andy, because it's your first 5-star watching live, who was your MVP of this tournament? And if you say Azumi...
It is. I think you already told me. AZM.
Again, I like Azumi. You could say Micah because they're clean sweep, but Azumi because of that 3-1 match she had, and then later went on to have a really excellent match with Micah later that night. I gotta give it to Azumi just for that night alone. But all her matches were great, and she is my most valuable player of the 5-star. Not just because she's my favorite, because she had great matches.
She did have a fantastic tournament, to be fair. Yeah, I was only joking.
She had great matches. That's how she became your favorite. It's not like you're neighbors with her, so that's
there
why.
You go.
But she's she's somebody that elevated herself up to like that much flirt with the main event that like you can put her in any main event and it's going to deliver. So yeah, she had a phenomenal tournament. And again, the fact that she wrestled 4 times in that quarterfinals was just like, if you like Azumi, which I know you do, that's what's like, wait till you see this quarterfinals. Not only is every match great, you get to see your favorite wrestler wrestle 4 matches.
Like that. Aside from that, even take out that 3-1 match, that was just a great night. My favorite night of the 5-star.
Yeah, my favorite night probably on all of wrestling. Like, to be honest, that was great.
Mm-hmm. It was consistently fantastic. Every match delivered, and we actually said on the review, didn't we, that even the undercard tag delivered as well. I thought that was a good match. It was probably the weaker one, obviously, but I still think that was a really good match as well. Matt, if you say your MVP is Tam, I swear to God.
Tam's the MVP of my life. No, it is not Tam, so relax. Now, I will say this, partner. Again, this is our third 5-star doing this in 2020. And I know me and you had the same MVPs the last 2 years. 2022 was clearly Hazuki, without a question. Mm-hmm. Last year was clearly Natsupoi, without a question. And Shuri, Mayu, they were all great. This one is a 2-person race for me. But because it's Micah and Mayu, right? But I'm going to tell you why I chose Micah. Micah, again, 2 5-star matches for me on today's show. She had a 5-star match with Hazuki, 4 3/4 star match with Natsupoi. The rest of her matches were pretty good. The Konami, the Minami, they were pretty good. Where Mayu had 5-star match with Tam, and then everything else was 4 to 4 3/4. Actually, majority of them were probably 4.5 to 4 3/4. The Azumi match, the Mei Sarah match, the Tomoka Inaba match again was only 4 stars because it was 4 minutes. Still was excellent. The Momo match, so it's like you're kind of wondering where I'm going to go with this one, because again, Micah has the higher end matches, but Mayu's more consistent. Like, she didn't have anything that was below 4 stars. But I think I had Micah at like 1 3.5 and like 1 3/4 stars. And the fact that Mayu going into this tournament, I think me and you will agree, Rob, that she's the greatest in-ring women's wrestler of all time. No disrespect to the EOs and the Toyotas and the Hokutos, that she's the greatest of all time. Somehow she elevated herself. And I said at the beginning of this episode, I can put her in there with the Flairs, the Steamboats, the Okadas, the Tanahashis, the Bret Harts. In my opinion, is one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, regardless of gender. Somehow Mayu came out of this tournament better than she went in, which is crazy. But I'm going to slight edge, give it to Micah because she swept the tournament and she's the actual winner. When it's that close, if you win the tournament, I think that's kind of a bonus point. Again, 2 years ago, clearly Hazuki. Last year, clearly not the point. This one is very close for me, but I'm going to give it to Micah.
I wish I was more. I accused Andy of not being subjective. However, I have given it to Mayu. Literally, a lot of the reasoning that you've given, to be perfectly honest, Matt, she was consistently outstanding. Every single match that she had, whether it was Tam on the opening night or Momo Watanabe in that fantastic match at Corrigan Hall, or her match with Natsupoi, which is one of my favorite matches of the entire tournament because they just beat the pillar out of each other. The match with Micah, just everything she touched turned to gold. And when you can get a, as you said, 4-star match out of Tomoka Inaba in 4 minutes, I mean, that just goes to show the level of talent that she had. In this tournament, everyone was better for being in the ring with Mayu. I do agree it is a 2-horse race between her and Micah, and it is literally 1A and 1B. But I think Mayu is on another level at the moment in singles competition that she hasn't missed. When you couple this with her match with Sari as well at All-Star Grand Queendom, her match with Mina Shirakawa at New Beginning, which is underrated, her match with Syuri at Intenyon Stardom Gate, it's just banger after banger after banger after banger. So yeah, that's me. Breakout star then. Andy, go to you first.
Okay, don't worry, it's not Azumi. So, yeah. So I think people like we all said, everyone kind of went into this looking better, or went coming out of it looking better than they went in, especially Advance. But Yuna Mizumori, she was almost my pick, even though she didn't win. Her confidence and just getting better, and then coming out of it, okay, now she can kind of contend. She's leveled up, as in the video game line. Leveled up to maybe not red belt, maybe not even white belt. She's leveled up to be a mid card or to a high, almost main eventer. But I gotta give it to Rana Yagami because her matches, and especially the surprise win over Hannah. Yeah. And there was a really nice pin that she did. I forget what they called it, but
Paradiddle.
Yeah, because the drummer. I also didn't get the Beat Striker thing, so I'm with you. I was like, that's a cool Japanese name. I didn't know it was drumming. But Rana Yagami looks a lot better. That's I wasn't that familiar with her going into it, but coming out of it, she got the win on Hannon and just a lot of good matches. I mean, she didn't have any really great matches, but just coming out of it with a lot of experience. And I think she might be the breakout star, and she's going to have a better 2025 because of what she did in 5-star.
Agreed. And the fact that she wasn't supposed to be in the tournament, the fact that she's replacing Amisori, she had a lot to contend with, and I think she did tremendously well, especially in that block where you've got two people who are more sort of driven in character at the moment, with Tekla and Sayaka Kamatani sort of trying to get their characters over as big heels. I think Rana Yagami was the perfect foil for both of those. She had a really good match with Saki Kashima. So yeah, perfectly agree with that. Matt, I think you might be the same as me.
I know when we did our preview, I was going to say it was going to be Tomoka Inaba, just because the Stardom fan base isn't familiar with her because of JTO, and she's only done a handful of things in Stardom. And I'm not going to count Tomoka out, but by match 3, everybody knew who she was. She's not a breakout star. She is a star. For me, it's Saida. I mean, she gets wins over Tam.
Oh, it's not the same, but yes, okay.
Yeah, she got some big wins in this tournament. Every single match she had, she was great against Momo. I mean, just excellent stuff. I mean, we've been singing Saida's praises on this podcast for the better part of 2 years, and the fact that she got this opportunity to have the great matches with Izumi, with Mei Sarah, Watanabe, Mayu, and she really is coming out of this as maybe the possibility her and Han are winning the Goddess of Stardom tournament. They're probably an odds-on favorite. If they team them up, I hope they don't randomly mess the teams up. Keep the teams as the teams. But I think Saida is fantastic here, considering the fact that she has a win over Tam. She has a claim to that red belt. That's all I'm saying. But no, Saida was my breakout star of the tournament. This was something that she definitely richly earned.
Ryogoku main event, mate, I'm telling you. It is worth pointing out as well that Tomoka Inaba dropped the Queen of Just Tap Out title to Aoi, not yesterday. I think the day before. So don't want to point too many fingers. But again, we did say on the preview, if you're not dropping everything to try and sign Tomoka Inaba, then there's something wrong. My breakout was Yuna Mizumori, who had a tremendous tournament, and as you said, Andy, without winning a point, she was still the breakout star. She was still able to have a fantastic match. Her match with Hazuki was fantastic. She had a really good match with Manami, with Maika, with Natsupoi. She channeled that sort of that excitement of being in the tournament, and then obviously we had the storytelling match at the end with the feud with Ruaka. I think that she comes out of this tournament far better than when she came in. She had so much support coming out. I personally think she should have beaten Ruaka. I think that would have made more sense, especially with Ruaka having cheated against her and bust her open in the tournament leading up to the actual tournament. Would have made more sense, but that's a very small nitpick. I think she just deserved points, to be perfectly honest, because I think she was brilliant. But yeah, Yuna Mizumori is my breakout star of the 2023 2024. Oh my god, 5-star Grand Prix. Final one then before we let these lovely people go home after 3 hours of podcasting. Andy, what was your match of the tournament?
My match, probably today we had a really good one with Micah and Sayaka, which broke my top 5. But my match of the tournament was from 828, my favorite show of the tournament, and that's Pon versus Suzuki. That's the only one I gave 5 stars to. I thought that match was just absolutely fantastic and my favorite match of the whole tournament. And not to say that there wasn't other. If you have a 5-star match, more power to you. But that was personally my favorite.
That's what's great though about this tournament. Like there's matches that speak to different people in different ways. I really like that match. Didn't quite give it 5, but I really enjoyed that match. So yeah, absolutely. Matt, what's yours match of the tournament? Is it the final?
I had 5 matches at 5 stars, and I'm going to do my 5 to 1. And I'll do it real quick. These are the 5 matches I had 5 stars, but I ranked them. Number 5 is Maika and Hazuki. Number 4 is Sai, Kamatani, and Starlight Kid. Number 3 is Mayu versus Tam from night 1. Number 2 is Mike and Mayu from the final night, and number 1 is Micah versus Saya. So my 1 and 2 were from the final night, which again goes to prove that final night of the 5-star Grand Prix. Damn, howdy, we get some good matches. We are definitely split. But yeah, my favorite match overall is the final, Micah and Kamatani.
I actually had 2, and I physically can't break them apart much as I've tried. And they were actually back to back as well on 828 because it was a fantastic show. Mayu and Natsupoi and Starlight Kid and Sai Kamatani, both absolutely tremendous matches. And I actually said to Matt just after the Mayu Natsupoi match finished, you said you needed a drink at 4 a.m.
8:30 in the morning.
Honestly, mate, I've never needed a cigarette so much in my life. I was genuinely concerned for my own health. And I was like, they're not going to top that. That's match of the tournament. And then not only did they top it, they did the match afterwards as well. I thought both matches were absolutely fantastic. Starlight Kid is an absolute star, and I cannot wait to see what happens with her in the year to come. But yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our review. Somehow we've still managed to go 3 hours despite only having one show to review. It's becoming a rather unerring habit, I feel, Mr. Matt Turner. But thank you to everyone for joining us. Stardom are going to be at Corrigan Hall on the 8th of September. That's the next show on Wednesday this week. No, Friday, because we record on Wednesday. And believe me and Matt are going to be sort of doing a tour around the houses where we talk about matches outside of Stardom that the Stardom wrestlers are doing. So, for example, Momo Watanabe versus Mercedes Moné, Mina and Hanako at Capital Collision, Saori Ano against Dash Chisako from Sendai Girls, all those sorts of things we're going to be talking about, and also any fallout that comes out of the 5-star as well. So stay tuned for that. We'll also be releasing our Marigold Standard review of the first 2 shows from the Dreamstar Grand Prix as well. So that's something to look forward to. But thank you to everyone for joining us on the review. If you haven't already subscribed, please think about subscribing. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review and a comment if you think we've deserved it. You can also check out the Patreon, patreon.com/the StardomCast. We can get all of these episodes early and ad-free. If you haven't already, check out the website, www.thestardomcast.com, for all your news and statistics to do with Stardom and to do with Marigold as well. Find us on social media at the StardomCast. Andy Hedder, thank you so much for joining us on the review. It's been an absolute blast having you on, good sir. And would you like to plug your socials?
Sure, why not? First, I'll just say, anyone that subscribed to the Stardom Patreon, I thank you very much, and I'll be on there more. So, I look forward to doing more shows for you. If you want to find me on the old Twitter, it is at GetSomeHeader, which is right down there, and pun intended. And if you want to find me on Facebook or Instagram, just type in Andy Hedder. I'm the first one that comes up. I'm probably the only one that comes up. And here's a thing. Me and Matt Turner will be tagging up at Colossal Con, which is next Saturday, the 7th.
Yep, the 7th. Yep.
Colossal Con, the Kalahari Resort in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, and it's a pretty cool thing. It's a wrestling event inside an anime convention, and it's always one of my favorite shows of the whole year. It's very fun. We'll be tagging up, and we even have some cool costumes. Rob, you're gonna love it, and we'll tell you off air. We won't tell everyone here, but that's what's coming on the 7th. So I give it up to one Matt Turner. Bring it on home.
Absolutely, yeah. If you're in the northeastern Pennsylvania area, if you're going to Colossal Con, just come out to the wrestling show. Come early, because this is the 3rd year we did it, and it's like 400 seats fill up like that. And again, come over, say hi to us, and again, me and Andy, we will be teaming up. Again, I don't do too many independent shows just because I'm so busy with the podcast, and I absolutely love it. And again, we are going to, this is all Andy's idea. He said, hey, we should dress up like these characters. I said, you got it, buddy. He said, I'll order the gear. I'm like, just let me know what you need from me. But yeah, if you're in the northeastern area, or if you're going to Colossal Con, come over and say hi to us. But without any further ado, folks, questions, comments, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and or the Twitter is the best way to get a hold of me. You want to shoot me an email. The email is thestardomcast22@gmail.com. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for another episode, another fantastic live episode. We appreciate your support. Can't do it without you, because like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast, because when we're all together and everyone's different, everyone's special.